Deep within the gravel desert of the immortal world, a panicked party scrambled through Black Sand Town while a startled desert lizard scurried away from the commotion. The group desperately needed an escape since a pack of level 3 ghost desert wolves hunted them down. The priestess lamented their rotten luck, noting that they only intended to hunt level 1 sand scorpions and questioning how they managed to stumble into such a high-level threat. She turned to the warrior leading their party for a plan. The warrior urged everyone to hold on just a little longer because a cluster of rock acacia trees stood just ahead. Since ghost desert wolves lacked the ability to climb, reaching those branches offered their only glimmer of hope. The priestess felt a wave of dread, knowing these beasts were notoriously ferocious and never abandoned a hunt once they marked their prey. With their bodies battered from a previous fight and their last 2 pieces of black iron equipment damaged, she feared their end had finally arrived. The sorceress tripped and slammed face first into the sand, drawing immediate concern from her companions. As she scrambled to recover, she looked up to see the wolves lunging directly at her. Terror paralyzed her, and the image of a wolf reflected in her wide eyes as it closed the distance. A blade suddenly flashed through the air, striking the beast in the neck and dropping it dead in an instant. Lin Yuan stepped forward to confront the remaining pack, his figure shrouded in a mysterious cloak. The sorceress watched him approach, stunned to realize he was only a level 1 beginner. Lin Yuan drew the attention of the other wolves, who growled at him while he dismissed the strength of level 3 monsters as pathetic. As the wolves charged, he retrieved his sword and sprinted to meet them head-on. The beasts pounced with lethal intent, but he moved with blinding speed, cutting through each of them in one fluid motion. A powerful, lightning-like aura crackled from his blade with every strike. The ladies watched in utter disbelief as he stood over the lifeless bodies of the monsters, as if the fight had been a trivial chore. The warrior marveled at the display, unable to fathom how a beginner with a basic iron sword managed to dismantle 4 ghost desert wolves so easily. The moment of relief vanished when the sorceress pointed toward the horizon, where a massive number of glowing eyes emerged from the darkness. A full wolf pack had arrived to surround them. The priestess panicked as she questioned the sudden appearance of the massive pack, while the sorceress realized the scent of their kin's blood likely drew the predators in. The warrior urged Lin Yuan to flee immediately, warning that a pack of this size could easily wipe out an entire beginner village and leave him torn to shreds. Lin Yuan simply questioned the reality of the threat before summoning his cards. The system prompted him to confirm the deployment of his skeleton warriors, and he gave the go-ahead. As he threw the cards forward, they embedded themselves into the ground, triggering a glowing magic circle. Skeletal hands clawed their way to the surface as level 3 skeleton warriors emerged, yet the wolves remained unfazed and charged forward with lethal intent. Lin Yuan challenged the beasts to see who would end up torn to shreds. The eyes of the skeleton warriors ignited with a spectral glow, drawing the aggro of the pack while he flanked them to strike from behind. 15 minutes of intense combat later, he drove his blade into the neck of the final wolf and pulled it free. The system confirmed the successful elimination of 16 ghost desert wolves, granting him 160 experience points, along with 28 wolf fangs. Life orbs drifted from the fallen carcasses and swirled around him in a dark vortex. The priestess struggled to process the reality of him single-handedly dismantling the entire pack, while the sorceress approached to ask if he was a mage who utilized a summoning skill she had never encountered before. He denied being a mage, and when she pressed him for the nature of his ability, he remained silent with a faint smile. His true power was a forbidden SSS-rank talent known as the Soul Reaper. Having been reborn from the Blue Star, he recalled the events of 3 years prior when the mysterious Demon Star appeared, followed by the launch of the revolutionary virtual reality game Eternal World. Humans gained abilities through the game, but the situation turned dire when the followers of the Demon Star's ruler began a brutal massacre in the real world. His parents perished in the initial catastrophe, and despite the mobilization of the Chosen Ones, humanity suffered a crushing defeat in the final battle, where he also lost his life. His unexpected rebirth at the moment of his first entry into the game granted him the forbidden rank talents of Dark Summoning Art and Netherworld Gate. Back in the present, he knew he had to accelerate his growth to protect his family and the Blue Star. He knelt before one of the fallen wolves and extended his arm, channeling his dark aura into the beast until the energy engulfed every lifeless body on the field. The system prompted him to confirm the use of his dark summoning art on the fallen ghostly desert wolves, and he readily agreed. This ability granted him a warrior-like physique while allowing him to raise monster corpses as undead servants. These resurrected creatures retained their original levels and skills, but they also gained an undying body that provided immunity to various negative combat effects. He then activated his second talent, the Netherworld Gate, which functioned as a storage space for his undead legion that expanded in capacity as he leveled up. As the gate opened, the wolves vanished into the void. He knew that with enough levels, he would command an unstoppable army of the dead. The warrior watched in shock, questioning if he was truly reviving the fallen and demanding to know his identity, but he ignored her inquiries to focus on the timing of an impending event. A system notification suddenly alerted everyone that the world boss, the giant deathwolf, was about to descend upon the gravel desert. He declared that it was time to hunt the boss. Nearby, other parties huddled behind rocks as ominous lightning crackled overhead. A massive fissure tore through the sky, revealing glowing red eyes peering from the darkness. Panic erupted as the players recognized the arrival of the giant deathwolf. Some recalled warnings from the official game website about its 50-meter attack range and urged everyone to flee, while others screamed in terror. Horrifying cries echoed across the desert as the beast descended, snatching a human in its jaws. The level 6 monster mauled anyone in its path. One player frantically called for his brother, while another warned that facing such a creature was a death sentence for any single player. As the group debated whether anyone could possibly defeat a world boss, they noticed a lone figure walking fearlessly toward the carnage. Lin Yuan approached the beast with a piercing gaze. Observers noted his beginner gear and his sword, questioning his sanity since the giant deathwolf was a Lord-rank monster. In the world of immortality, monsters were ranked from normal up to tyrant, and even the lowest Lord-rank world boss posed a lethal threat to any beginner. Lin Yuan stood his ground directly in front of the towering giant deathwolf. Onlookers screamed that he had lost his mind and needed to retreat immediately because challenging such a monster was nothing more than suicide. The beast loomed over him, growling as blood oozed from its maw, and unleashed its signature evil wolf's roar. He dodged the attack with ease, remaining completely unfazed even when the creature followed up with a lethal deathclaw. He recalled from his past life that this level 6 Lord-rank monster possessed 3,400 health points and 510 attack power. Back then, explorers in the gravel desert rarely surpassed level 3 and had no choice but to rely on group combat, a desperate struggle that nearly cost him his life. Rebirth had changed everything, however, as countless bloody battles had honed his experience far beyond his former self. He braced himself as the massive claws descended, shattering the ground where he had stood only a heartbeat before. He moved fluidly to the side, leaving the observers stunned by his incredible speed. A system notification blared that the world boss had entered a state of furious rage, but he only smirked. He slammed his palm against the earth to activate his Netherworld Gate. The structure erupted from the ground, catching the wolf off guard as the heavy doors swung open. He commanded his legion to emerge, and the ghostly desert wolves he had previously defeated charged out into the fray. The crowd watched in disbelief, wondering what the strange portal was and how a lone boy managed to turn those level 3 monsters into undead servants. He knew his progress had been efficient, as his own level had risen to 3 during the journey, expanding his gate capacity to 30 and making the slight delay worth the result. He exploited the aggro mechanics of immortality, knowing that a summoner typically drew more attention than their minions unless the creatures attacked proactively. The giant deathwolf focused its fury on the undead wolves swarming it, but as the boss raised its claws to maul one of his servants, he seized the perfect opening. He slashed the beast multiple times, forcing it to roar in pain and shift its focus toward him. He sprinted away, planning to draw the boss's attention while his undead legion chipped away at its health. Even if each wolf only dealt 15 damage, the sheer volume of attacks meant the boss's massive health pool would not last long. The onlookers marveled at the spectacle of a Lord-rank world boss being dismantled, while 3 thieves watched from the shadows, snickering to themselves. Lin Yuan launched himself into the air to deliver a final strike as the boss health dipped to 500 points. He drove his sword deep into the creature head, landing a critical hit that sent blood spraying across the sand. The beast collapsed, left in a near-death state with only 10 health remaining. As he stood over the fallen monster, 3 thieves emerged from the shadows to seize the moment. They plotted to kill him and claim the world boss treasure for themselves, convinced that his undead legion was already wiped out. Lin Yuan glared at the trio, unfazed by their threats and ready to strike. A cold glint appeared in his eyes as he turned to face them, and with a single, swift slash of his blade, he sent all three flying. They hit the ground simultaneously, bleeding out as they realized their own recklessness and lack of limits. The thieves struggled to comprehend how he had taken them down instantly, especially since they were level 3 combatants. Meanwhile, the giant death wolf trembled while attempting to stand, but Lin Yuan ended its struggle by throwing his sword directly into it. Another critical hit registered, and the system confirmed the boss had reached 0 health. He secured the kill, earning 480 experience points and a single pure soul gem. A silver chest and the gem materialized before him, prompting him to consider the value of his rewards. The pure soul gem contained soul power that could be exchanged at the Council of Immortality for legendary equipment. Although players typically reached the Council and the Elf tribes after hitting level 60, holding such a gem provided an early shortcut to top-tier gear. In the world of immortality, equipment ranged from common to mythical, and most beginners struggled to find anything better than black iron. He recalled how he had used 2 skeleton warriors 2 hours earlier to lure away elite black sand lizards, allowing him to snatch a bronze treasure chest containing a bronze-grade black lizard robe. The system announced his status as the first player to kill a world boss, granting him the Monster Hunter title. This achievement boosted his attack power by 10%, his critical hit rate by 10%, and his magical damage by 15%. He appreciated the strength of these attributes and the utility of the special status. The silver treasure chest yielded a bountiful harvest, including the Silver Moon Blade, the Eye of Death accessory, a healing potion, a level 1 skill scroll, and a beast essence. The rewards for being the first to conquer a world boss in the entire game were truly generous. The system finalized his experience point calculations and updated his player data. Jumping from the start of level 3 straight to the brink of level 4 felt like a solid win. Each level granted 5 attribute points for free distribution, so he planned to allocate 3 into spiritual power and 2 into strength. These new stats pushed his current attributes to the highest among all players in the Gravel Desert. Checking his Netherworld gate, he noted the capacity sat at 0 out of 40. Although the battle cost him every ghost wolf in his arsenal, the level up expanded his gate to accommodate 40 undead monsters. When the system prompted him to use dark summoning on the corpse of the giant death wolf, he accepted without hesitation. The wolf eyes snapped open, and the beast leaped back to its feet as a giant zombie wolf. The creature retained its wide range of damage skills and crowd control abilities, but as an undead, it also gained the undead body and undead wrath skills. With this powerful new subordinate, refilling the ranks of his undead army would be a simple task. Nearby, a group of onlookers watched in terror, questioning how he managed to turn a world boss into a loyal subordinate. They recalled the packs of undead wolves that emerged from his strange gate earlier and concluded that the man himself was far more dangerous than the boss he just conquered. Lin Yuan glanced in their direction, causing them to scramble behind nearby rocks in a panic. He noted that those scoundrels still lingered nearby. While the 3 thieves he previously dispatched dropped a black iron-level sword, he already possessed the superior Silver Moon Blade. He picked up the discarded weapon, prompting the hidden men to wonder if he intended to kill them for their gear or if escape remained an option. He approached one of the men and asked if he was the one who warned him about the thieves earlier. The man trembled, struggling to find his voice, but Lin Yuan simply handed him the sword. The man stood in shock as Lin Yuan thanked him, noting that he might find some use for the weapon. As the man remained dumbfounded, his companions whispered in disbelief. Realizing the sword was a black iron grade item worth tens of thousands of renminbi. 10 minutes later, Lin Yuan walked alone through the desert until his vision glitched. He recognized the sensation as the electricity faded and his virtual reality headset powered down. He returned to reality, sitting in his room in front of his computer. Saving money for a proper gaming pod became his immediate priority. On his screen, the world of immortality continued to run, reminding him that the ultra-realistic virtual reality game operated across multiple login zones tied to different countries. Beyond the immediate desert, the Elbad login zone featured 4 distinct realms, including the ancient Western Desert Kingdom, the returning Southern Empire, the Dark Northern Empire, and the Tidal Archipelago. When the system originally prompted him to select a birthplace, he chose the ancient Western Desert Kingdom because of a secret discovered just before his previous death. During that final chaos, a massive red eye loomed in the sky while he lay buried under rubble amidst the screams of the dying. A cloak fluttered in the air above him, revealing 3 mysterious figures floating before that terrifying eye. He noticed a yellow sapphire emblem on their gear, which he recognized as the mark of the ancient Western Desert Kingdom Guild. One of those figures was the first follower of the demonic Star Sovereign, a human player who served as the pivotal figure for the final summoning that brought the evil sovereign down upon Blue Star. With 3 years remaining before that catastrophe, he realized that eliminating this follower early might prevent the entire tragedy from repeating. The yellow sapphire emblem served as his only clue, as only the guilds in the Western Desert main city utilized such badges. Since entering that city required reaching level 10, he needed to accelerate his leveling process to expose the traitor. He tested his connection to the game by summoning a skeleton card and succeeded, confirming that he could manifest his powers in the real world. Players capable of this feat were known as the Chosen, or Children of Fate, individuals gifted with hidden professions and immense luck who stood as the primary defense against the evil sovereign. In his past life, he only gained these abilities when the catastrophe actually erupted, but the ease of his current manifestation suggested that his forbidden Soul Reaper ability was far from ordinary. A sudden clatter outside his room snapped him back to the present. His father arrived to check on him, announcing that dinner was ready and requesting his presence. His mother urged him to join them quickly, noting the rarity of the gesture, so he agreed to head out and eat. Loss often served as the only catalyst for realizing the true value of what had been discarded. In his previous life, he lived in total ignorance and despised the simplicity of ordinary days, even going so far as to claim that his gaming addiction would eventually destroy him. His mother once begged him to stop the constant bickering before his temper flared again, but those memories now felt like a lifetime ago. He vividly recalled the sight of his parents lying lifeless on the floor of their ruined home, a tragedy that forced him to confront the sheer foolishness of his past self. Back in the present, he noted that it was Sunday, and wondered aloud if little Tan would be joining them for dinner. His mother explained that she was busy preparing for a mock exam and had taken her meal to school, suggesting that he should deliver some fresh food to her later since her packed lunch lacked the quality of a home-cooked meal. She expressed genuine surprise at his newfound culinary skills, especially after tasting the delicious chicken wings, and playfully warned him not to fight her for the last piece. He agreed to let her have it, but then shocked both of his parents by placing a chicken wing into his father's bowl instead. He promised to master more dishes in the future, leaving his parents stunned yet clearly pleased by his sudden change in character. Shortly after the meal, he began an intense physical regimen, sprinting up the stairs at an incredible speed before transitioning into a series of rigorous sit-ups. He understood that controlling the powers manifested from the game required a physical constitution capable of handling the strain. After finishing a long run in the park, he clocked 50 meters in 5.5 seconds. Acknowledging that while the result was decent, there remained significant room for improvement. A sudden beep from his watch signaled that it was time to return to the game. Upon logging back into the gravel desert, the system confirmed his arrival just as giant shadows swept across the sand. A flock of level 2 wailing birds lunged at him with lethal speed, but he dispatched them quickly. Earning 15 experience points from the system notification, he found the reward meager and considered his next move. Moments later, the undead versions of the birds circled overhead, drawing a massive pack of wolves out from their hiding spots. He realized that the birds served as the favorite prey for the desert ghost wolves, which explained the sudden gathering of predators. He opened a bottle and consumed the monster essence, feeling his abilities surge by 10 points. With the pack closing in, he welcomed the opportunity to warm up and proceeded to eliminate the wolves one after the other. The system confirmed the successful elimination of 4 desert ghost wolves, but the arrival of more predators caught him slightly off guard. A follow-up notification soon signaled that 10 wolves had fallen, prompting him to adjust his footing the moment he touched the ground to maintain a stable stance. He realized the pack was closing in from every direction, but their arrival was perfectly timed for his needs. With a series of fierce swings, he sliced through the beasts one by one until the system tallied 30 kills. He continued his relentless assault, and after the count reached 40, a congratulatory message confirmed his advancement to level 5. He summoned the Netherworld Gate, noting that the two recent battles had already filled its capacity to the maximum of 50 undead monsters. Having boosted his four main attributes with the monster essence, he felt confident that his combat power was finally sufficient to challenge elite monsters of his own level. It was time to track down that specific person. Lin Yuan made his way to Black Sand Town, weaving through the crowded streets before approaching a building and stepping inside. The local mage's instructor, Kansi, demanded to know who had entered. Lin Yuan identified himself and explained his desire to learn new skills. In the game World of Immortality, skills were typically acquired through monster drops or treasure chests. But each profession also relied on a novice instructor for training. Kansi had served as his mentor during his previous life as a mage, and the instructor expressed delight at the prospect of earning enough coin to cover his drinks for the next half-month. Although Lin Yuan had been a mage in his past life, he possessed very little information regarding the Soul Reaper ability he currently held. Since that ability relied on magic for its fighting style, he needed to master the general mage skills common to that path before unlocking anything more specialized. He requested the Spirit Flame skill, the Art of Healing, and the Art of Concealment. Kansi agreed that everything was simple as long as the payment was ready, and upon seeing the bag of silver coins in Lin Yuan's hand, the instructor encouraged him to strive for the glory of mages. The system confirmed the acquisition of all three skills. Spirit Flame provided a necessary ranged attack, the Art of Healing offered a way to mend his own wounds or those of his teammates, and the Art of Concealment served as a vital survival tool for critical moments. These were basic techniques, so he knew he would need to secure more resources to unlock higher-level abilities, but for now, he was content to continue his journey and keep leveling up. Lin Yuan headed east toward the Black Sand Mountain, where the system promptly confirmed his discovery of the Kobold Mine. These level 5 creatures lived in deep burrows and caves, relying on their keen sense of smell to hunt in the dark and their natural cunning to stage ambushes. With groups typically numbering around 100, they served as the perfect targets for his undead army to gain experience. He consumed a night vision potion purchased earlier, ensuring 30 minutes of clear sight, and planned to use the upcoming skirmishes to max out the proficiency of his concealment and spirit flame skills while hunting for treasure chests. He ordered his undead wolves to advance with an ordinary torch to light the way. The pack charged into the dark cave, and 15 minutes later, they reached the deeper, pitch-black sections. Lin Yuan remained vigilant, but the silence was absolute. He tossed the torch forward, illuminating a set of stairs where the glowing eyes of numerous level 5 kobold miners revealed themselves. As the torch hit the ground, the wolves lunged into the fray. He commanded them to leave none alive, and the kobolds met the charge with their own aggression. The system tallied 2 kills immediately, though one kobold managed to land a smash skill against a wolf. 8 more workers fell shortly after, and he noted that while their raw combat power was low, their shovels posed a genuine threat that required careful dodging. As more kobolds swarmed him with pickaxes, he activated his vanish skill. The creatures faltered in confusion at his sudden disappearance, and he mocked their foolishness as he reappeared behind them. The system confirmed 20 more kills, and he leaped to higher ground to survey the carnage. His experience with the art of vanishing increased, but he realized the attributes of these ordinary kobolds were too weak to provide significant leveling gains. He raised the fallen as level 5 undead kobold mine workers, deciding they would replace the ghost wolves in his ranks. He pushed them forward, intent on finding the local leader as quickly as possible. Deeper in the cave, he stopped upon noticing a side path. Something clung to the walls in the darkness, and he identified them as mud slimes. The system confirmed 2 kills and a small experience boost. Suddenly, the eyes of a kobold overseer flared behind him. The elite level 6 monster lunged with incredible speed, catching the undead kobolds off guard. In this world, the weak served as prey to the strong, but even the most dangerous predator eventually faced its own end. The overseer slammed its weapon down, creating a booming echo that filled the chamber with dust and obscured his vision. The hunter often disguised itself as prey, waiting for the perfect moment to strike from the shadows. Lin Yuan effortlessly caught the kobold overseer's weapon with his bare hand. He had the creature right where he wanted it, so he yanked the weapon with enough force to send the overseer flying into the rocks ahead. The monster stood back up and let out a fierce roar. but it was caught off guard when Lin Yuan moved past it at incredible speed. A system notification confirmed the kill as the overseer knelt on the ground, blood spurting from its body before it could even attempt a counterattack. As the creature collapsed, low growls echoed through the chamber. Lin Yuan looked over his shoulder to see a swarm of kobold mine workers approaching. The system alerted him that the overseers had activated the whip skill, forcing the mine workers into a bloodthirsty state that boosted their attack speed by 40% and movement speed by 25% for the next minute. He noted the sheer volume of enemies, but since his own forces were nearly their match in both number and strength, he decided it was time for them to get some fresh air. The desert ghost wolves emerged from the netherworld gate, and he directed them to charge. The two parties collided instantly, and the undead giant wolf joined the fray by unleashing its demonic wolf's howl, leaving the kobolds stunned and suffering from severe bleeding. Lin Yuan seized the moment to finish them off. The system flooded his vision with notifications confirming 40 successful kills on the kobold overseers, and he felt the surge of power as he leveled up to 6. He immediately cast Dark Summoning Art on the Fallen, raising them as level 6 elite undead kobold supervisors. 2 remaining overseers attempted to sneak away from the battlefield, but he blocked their path, ready to let his sword do the talking. He was momentarily taken aback when a pickaxe swung toward his head, triggered by the level 7 kobold boss activating its decisive strike skill. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. The boss swung its massive hammer, but he dodged the blow, causing the weapon to slam into the wall and become stuck. He lunged with his sword, yet the blade failed to penetrate the boss's thick hide. He realized the creature's defenses were exactly as formidable as expected. The boss erratically swung its hammer again, forcing him to dodge in the nick of time and skid across the ground to regain his footing. The attack pattern was far more complex than that of a standard elite monster, and the raw strength behind each strike was at least 2 or 3 times greater than anything he had faced so far. He decided to maintain his distance while continuing to chip away at the boss's health. He signaled his undead army, and while the wolves and kobolds utilized their skin and stomp skills, the undead giant wolf unleashed another demonic wolf's howl. The boss retaliated by activating its finishing blow skill, preparing to deal double damage. Lin Yuan signaled for an all-out assault, and the wolves immediately lunged to sink their fangs into every available opening on the boss. The undead giant wolf triggered the group's skill Undead's Wrath, boosting attack power by 10% and critical hit chances by 20%. As the pack latched onto the creature, the boss roared in agony while its health bar steadily depleted. Lin Yuan watched from a safe distance and activated Spirit Flame magic, launching a barrage of flames simultaneously. Since the boss possessed notoriously low magic resistance, the onslaught proved devastating. Enraged by the assault, the creature let out a ferocious bellow and lunged directly at him, but he effortlessly activated Vanish to slip away. Since the monster insisted on closing the distance, he decided to show no mercy. Spotting an unarmored fleshy patch on the back of the boss's neck, he drove his sword deep into the hide. The creature shrieked in pain and swung its massive hammer, but he dodged the blow with ease. He whistled for the undead giant wolf, which leaped into the air, allowing him to grab its fur and mount its back. As the beast roared and the rest of the pack charged, he realized the armor was sufficiently breached and prepared the final lethal strike. The boss let out one last pained cry as the kobold miners rushed forward in a desperate, futile struggle. The system confirmed 75 kills among the miners, and when one lone survivor attempted to flee the chaos, Lin Yuan intercepted its path. He demanded the creature leave its life behind before lunging forward to decapitate it in a single motion. The system announced the death of the kobold chieftain and awarded 50 experience points, pushing him to level 7. Reaching level 7 felt like a significant milestone, bringing him one step closer to level 10 and the main city in the western desert. Both the stealth technique and spirit flame skills reached level 2, effectively doubling their potency. A sudden, brilliant light erupted from the fallen boss, revealing a bronze treasure chest. He pried it open, and a golden glow spilled out to reveal a kobold leather pouch, an unquenchable torch, a skull mask, and a pair of shadow gloves. The pouch contained 20 gold coins, which was a solid haul considering the upcoming global currency exchange channels would soon make that amount worth 200,000 yuan. The unquenchable torch provided permanent night vision within a 3-meter radius, while the skull mask offered a 5% reduction in physical damage alongside a 10-point boost to both stamina and strength. The shadow gloves particularly piqued his interest, as they matched the strength of the Kobold Chieftain and granted a 30-point increase to both defense and attack. Scoring a silver-grade weapon from a bronze chest was a stroke of genuine luck, and he felt eager to test the new gear. Meanwhile, near the entrance of the Kobold Cave, the Bloodscar Guild leader Huang Feilong, a level 8 warrior, carved through a pack of wolves. He noted that his recent training sessions were paying off, as his group eliminated 30 phantom desert wolves in under a minute. The vice leader Huang Feihu, a level 5 thief, declared that nothing was impossible as long as he and his brother remained united. A guild member praised the duo for their incredible strength after they wiped out a massive pack of phantom wolves in a single strike, while another member chimed in that they would surely crush the scum from the Thunder Guild if they crossed paths again. Huang Feihu scoffed at the thought, lamenting that they would have secured the world boss first kill long ago if not for that Lin Yuan who appeared out of nowhere. No other guild would have dared to show off if that had happened. The group recalled the moment the system announced the death of the giant wolf at the hands of Lin Yuan, who stood triumphantly over the beast's corpse. Huang Feihu cursed the scoundrel for his ridiculous luck and vowed to unleash his fury the moment they met, but Huang Feilong warned him against acting recklessly. Lin Yuan possessed tyrannical strength that could not be underestimated, so winning him over as an ally was a far better strategy than antagonizing him. Huang Feilong decided to scout the nearby Kobold dungeon, while the rest of the group stayed behind to recover their energy. Huang Feihu felt wronged and annoyed that his elder brother had already scolded him 3 times over that wild dog. He silently promised that Lin Yuan should wait for his inevitable end, as the day would come when he would pull out those fangs in front of his brother and sever the head of that scoundrel to prove who the truly strong one was. A guild member urged him to let go of his anger toward such worthless scum and pointed toward a mysterious sight in the distance. Huang Feihu looked on, puzzled by the silhouette of a mage approaching them. The figure revealed herself as a beautiful young lady, and Huang Feihu and his guild members immediately wore sinister expressions. Lin Yuan emerged from the Kobold mine, satisfied that he had added a chief-rank undead with significant combat power to his collection. With the number of undead monsters in his underworld gate now reaching 70, he planned to continue his advancement in that same manner. Suddenly, a mage warned the group not to approach any closer, threatening to show no mercy if they persisted. One of the guild members remarked on their good luck, as he had not expected to encounter such a stunningly beautiful girl that day. Huang Feihu told her not to worry because she would simply entertain them for a little while, suggesting she enjoy the experience rather than suffer. A guild member agreed, adding that she only needed to please their vice captain until he overflowed with joy to receive all sorts of rewards. She reiterated that she would not hesitate to attack if they came any closer. Huang Feihu scoffed at the idea of her posing a threat, dismissing her as a trivial mage and questioning if she truly believed she could harm them. He declared the foolishness over and challenged her to try again if she had not yet given up, encouraging her to resist more since it only increased his excitement. She screamed when he ripped her skirt. Suddenly, Lin Yuan punched Huang Feihu in the face, causing him to lose his teeth. The impact of the shadow gloves was so powerful that it sent Huang Feihu flying through multiple trees until he crashed into the rocky mountain ahead. His guild members watched in horror and called out to him, but he lay there with a disfigured face and lost consciousness. Lin Yuan noted that the effect was not bad, and the task proved easier than he imagined. One guild member scrambled to find a way to inform their captain, while another demanded to know who Lin Yuan was, warning that he had angered the Bloodscar Guild and sealed his own doom. Lin Yuan stared at them, unamused. He recalled that the Bloodscar Guild was the #1 guild in the initial phase of the game Eternity within the Black Sandtown newbie village, and most of its members were red-named players who thrived on evil. These red-named players were dangerous individuals classified by the system as having sin points of 10 or more due to criminal acts like deliberate attacks, theft, and looting. Although the evil ruler had not yet invaded the world and player death did not lead to real-world consequences, losing gear and dropping levels still inflicted severe losses. He asked if they were all from the Bloodscar Guild, remembering how those rats had caused him immense trouble in his previous life. The guild members looked puzzled by the question. One confirmed their identity as the #1 guild with a renowned reputation in Black Sandtown, asking if fear had struck his heart now that he had angered their vice-captain. He claimed it was too late for mercy, but if Lin Yuan wanted to avoid a miserable death, he should cut off his own arms, kneel like a dog, and repeatedly call him Grandpa. Lin Yuan moved with blinding speed and severed their arms, sending the limbs flying through the air. He thanked them for the suggestion, but insisted on handling the amputation himself, telling them to save their dog-like barking for their journey to hell. The mage watched, impressed by his strength. Meanwhile, Huang Feihu regained consciousness as the system notified him that a health potion had restored 20% of his health and magic power. He cursed Lin Yuan as a scoundrel and vowed that his fate was sealed. Huang Feilong demanded to see who possessed the audacity to act with such reckless disregard for their own life, and a guild member pointed toward the target. Lin Yuan and the mage noticed their arrival, and the guild member identified the boy as the one who nearly killed their vice-master. Huang Feilong asked for his identity, but a sudden realization struck him. The boy possessed eyes that were rumored to be cold and indifferent, yet imposed an overwhelming presence, appearing as if crystallized from moonlight and glinting with the icy brilliance of a sword capable of cutting through anything. An aura emanated from his body that made one feel an unbearable sense of suffocation. The guild member urged Huang Feilong to show the kid their might, cursing Lin Yuan as a blind dog and asking if he truly dared to provoke them, warning him to wait for his death. Meanwhile, Huang Feilong cursed in his mind, realizing that with that aura and a sword that likely dropped from a boss-level monster, the person was almost certainly Lin Yuan. He lamented that those idiots had chosen to provoke the one person they should have avoided, proving themselves good for nothing but causing trouble. The guild member continued to insist that Lin Yuan had been sentenced to death. Lin Yuan asked Huang Feilong if he was the leader of the Bloodscar Guild. Huang Feilong felt his dignity could not be compromised, and he concluded that a battle was unavoidable. Suddenly, Huang Feihu jumped out of the trees behind Lin Yuan. The mage warned him to watch his back, but Huang Feihu screamed that the scoundrel deserved to die, driven by pure desperation. Huang Feilong declared that making an enemy of the Bloodscar Guild was the stupidest decision of the boy's life, though he secretly viewed the situation as a good opportunity. He and Huang Feihu attacked Lin Yuan from different directions simultaneously. Surprise hit Huang Feilong when Lin Yuan summoned the Kobold Chieftain. The creature smiled sinisterly and swung its hammer, striking Huang Feihu and forcing him to cough up blood as he flew through the air once more. Huang Feilong was taken aback when Lin Yuan charged at him, and the boy announced that it was his turn next. Alarm gripped Huang Feilong, but Lin Yuan swung his sword and sliced him, leaving a huge wound across his torso as he fell lifeless to the ground. Lin Yuan remarked that the guild did not even possess the qualification to be taken seriously. Suddenly, the system warned him that his killing of a human player was detected, increasing his sin value by 2 points. He reasoned that the points would disappear automatically as long as no others accumulated within a week. The mage noted that the rest of the guild ran away and asked if they should chase them, but he dismissed them as mere insects not worth the effort. Huang Feihu's body disappeared, leaving behind the explosive battle axe, while Lin Yuan also collected the cross-dragon fang blade and the thorn dagger. He noted that their properties were good and could be exchanged for a high price even if he did not use them. The mage approached him, addressed him as a great sir, and thanked him for saving her life that day. She asked for his name, but he turned his back on her. He told her that a day would come when she would see his name at the top of the world's top 10 list. She stood stunned at the mention of the top 10, but she insisted that no one cared about such a trivial list and requested that he take her with him. Lin Yuan navigated the Wailing Desert when a level 6 Wailing Thunder Scorpion approached from behind, buried deep within the sand. He prepared for combat immediately and cut through the scorpions one after another. A single swift motion allowed him to slice through multiple targets at once, and he remained entirely unfazed as the battle progressed. He swung his sword in a wide arc, creating a swirling aura that decimated the surrounding threats. The system notified him that 60 Wailing Thunder Scorpions had fallen, which pushed his level up to 8. Reaching level 8 so quickly was an unexpected gain, especially since gathering the paralysis herb had been a bit of a nuisance. 2 days earlier, he encountered the alchemist Emor, who hailed him as a hero and celebrated their long-awaited meeting. The system detected a quest from Emor and prompted him to accept it. The mission, titled Emor's Will, required him to head into the Wailing Desert to collect 100 paralysis herbs within a single day for a Black Iron rank reward. He recalled that a special dungeon would soon open in the main city, which was packed with Thunder property monsters. Clearing that dungeon successfully required high resistance to thunder, meaning the demand for effective resistance potions would skyrocket to thousands of gold coins. In his past life, someone had made a massive fortune from that exact opportunity, and completing the herb-gathering quest was the only way to obtain the recipe. Since Emor was only in Black Sand Town for one day and would retire immediately after the quest was turned in, this represented the only chance for any player to secure the recipe. He chose to accept the quest. Back in the present, he noted that the level 6 Wailing Thunder Scorpions guarding the herbs posed little threat. Since he had already secured the quest, he decided to use the opportunity to max out the proficiency of his newly learned gathering skill. His level 2 gathering skill increased his collection speed and provided a 5% chance to obtain rare quality herbs. He decided to venture deeper into the desert. Suddenly, he stepped on a trap hidden beneath the sand. He recognized the danger the moment the ground beneath his feet began to tremble. A scorpion's stinger erupted from the sand and lunged at him. But he dodged the strike by activating his silver cutting strike skill. He skidded across the sand to regain his balance, feeling a surge of horror at the sudden escalation. The system warned him that a mutated crystal demon thunder scorpion had appeared and that he was in immediate danger. He wondered if a mutated demon monster had truly spawned in that location. The situation was difficult, but he decided to use the encounter to sharpen his silver cutting strike for the first time. He attacked the creature with all his might, but his blade barely left a scratch on its thick armor. The armor lacked any gaps to penetrate. The system notified him that the boss was activating its paralyzing thunderstrike skill, and he braced for the incoming thunder. The system then warned him that the boss was preparing a poisonous needle stab. He jumped off the scorpion's head, forcing the creature to strike itself with its own tail. The monster recovered quickly, so he stepped away to maintain distance. Its strength exceeded his expectations, so he needed to divert its combat power. As the scorpion charged, he called for the kobold and summoned the Netherworld Gate. The kobold chieftain landed a strike on the scorpion, though the damage remained minimal, leaving Lin Yuan to wonder if the double damage effect failed to activate. The system then announced that the boss unleashed its earth-shattering pincers skill, prompting him to retaliate with spirit flame magic. A loud boom echoed across the desert as the flames connected with the target, and he noted that the creature finally tasted the power of his upgraded magic. He signaled for the kobolds to attack, and they immediately used their robes to restrain the scorpion's pincers. The monster roared while struggling to break free, but the kobolds held it down firmly. The kobold chieftain jumped into the air and swung its hammer, triggering a critical hit that the system confirmed as double damage. Enraged, the scorpion broke through the restraints, forcing him to leap off the ground to avoid the chaos. The creature appeared puzzled when he suddenly vanished from its sight, and he observed that no opening existed to penetrate its thick shell. The system then detected his Slayer Hunter title, which boosted his attack power, magical damage, and double damage trigger rate by 10% each. He declared that he would shatter the entire body into a pile of brittle husks and told the beast to prepare for its inevitable doom. He landed a powerful punch that sent the scorpion slamming into the sand, kicking up a massive cloud of dust. The system notified him that he successfully killed the Slaying Crystal Thunder Scorpion and awarded him 560 experience points. He immediately used his Dark Summoning Art talent to revive the creature as his own minion. Suddenly, a massive nest of Wailing Thunder Scorpions charged toward his position, and he felt surprised by their sheer numbers. He remarked that they arrived just in time and ordered his forces to move out, intending to use his newly tamed pet to toy with the swarm. The system announced that the pet unleashed its Crystal Thunderstorm skill, and the Wailing Scorpions took a direct hit from the powerful lightning. He moved behind the remaining enemies and eliminated them one by one, with the system repeatedly confirming hits on their weak spots. He swung his sword to kill one scorpion in a single strike, then drove his blade into another and sliced it in half. The system congratulated him twice as he leveled up to level 10, and he noted that the feeling of 2 consecutive level-ups was quite satisfying. The system then granted him several silver-grade items, including a lightning spear, Guardian's Greaves, a ring of paralysis, and a phantom's arm guard. He realized that selling these silver-grade weapons would significantly improve his parents' living standards. After the system confirmed that all demonic beasts in the area were cleared, it congratulated him on obtaining a gold-grade skill book tailored to his personal ability. The book appeared in his hand, and the system identified it as the Curse of Darkness. He remarked on his good luck as the system automatically registered the book into his memory. It congratulated him for acquiring an exclusive skill for Soul Reapers, which allowed him to deal 20% of a target's HP as damage or restore 20% HP to the undead. Lin Yuan realized the potential of his new skill to restore 20% of an undead creature's life points. He turned his attention to the undead scorpion standing behind him, which currently held 60% of its health, and decided to test the ability immediately. Upon applying the Curse of Darkness, the system confirmed that the creature's life points climbed back up to 80%. With the warm-up finished, he prepared to head toward the main city to track down his first subordinate. A sudden touch on his shoulder pulled him back to reality, and he understood exactly what was happening. Back in the real world, his mother explained that his father had just injured his back and needed assistance. A few moments later, he advised his father to take it easy. His mother questioned why his father continued to act so recklessly at his age, noting that he should have called a professional repairman instead of trying to fix the air conditioner himself without any care for his own well-being. His father insisted that he had to save money wherever possible, pointing out that he had successfully repaired the washing machine just last week, with a few simple steps. He dismissed the injury as minor and planned to sleep it off so he would be ready to pick up Lin Tan from school the next day. Lin Yuan listened to his parents in silence as he closed the door behind him. The following morning, workers arrived at the home, waking his mother with the sound of their activity. She wondered if Lin Yuan was responsible for the noise so early in the day. But she and her husband were greeted by workers delivering and installing new furniture and a television. One worker asked to confirm the delivery, explaining that these were the new items Lin Yuan had purchased and requested to be installed as quickly as possible. His mother struggled to process the situation, wondering if she was dreaming. Meanwhile, Lin Yuan worked out at the gym, drawing the attention of the girls around him. An employee apologized for the disturbance and asked if he wanted to sign up for the VIP package, which required a full year of payment in advance. He agreed and handed over his bank card. He reflected on how selling his unnecessary equipment allowed him to renovate the house and secure a family membership at the gym, as his parents and Lin Tan needed to start exercising early to adapt faster once they entered the immortality stage. The employee noticed that he had been training for a long time without showing any signs of fatigue or heavy breathing, which highlighted his athletic physique. She felt a surge of surprise upon seeing his card, recognizing it as the premium VIP version reserved for those with over 5 million in their accounts. Lin Yuan spoke on the phone, confirming that the funds came from prize money won in a previous video game competition. He told his parents to rest at home for the day and leave the task of picking up Lin Tan to him. The employee marveled at how such a young person could be so impressive. A short time later, at Chushui First High School, students gathered as classes ended, with some planning to head to the internet cafe to team up for a round of gaming. Lin Tan walked down the stairs with Grace. One of her classmates mentioned that it was her birthday and invited Lin Tan to her house, adding that her brother had brought her favorite strawberry cake. Another friend remarked on how lucky she was to have a brother, expressing envy and a wish for a sibling of her own. Lin Tan wondered if having a brother was truly something to be jealous of, recalling how Lin Yuan obsessively played his games without caring for himself or those around him. She decided that she did not want a brother at all. Suddenly, a guy addressed her as the school beauty and accused her of being arrogant. He complained that they had tried to invite her through others repeatedly without receiving an answer, and another guy insisted that she should show them some courtesy since they had come to invite her in person. Lin Tan demanded to know what the group of guys wanted, prompting her classmate to step forward and ask who these people were. One of the men leered at her and suggested that she should let him touch her skin. She immediately told him to keep his hands off and get out of her face, warning that she would call the police if he bothered her again. The guy cursed and claimed she did not deserve any respect, while her classmates watched in growing alarm. He mocked her for pretending to be pure when she reacted so strongly to a minor insult. As she closed her eyes and braced for his attack, Lin Yuan suddenly appeared and grabbed the guy's wrist. She opened her eyes in surprise to find her brother standing there, looking absolutely terrifying as he glared at the aggressor. The guy cursed and demanded to know where this stray dog had come from. His companions threatened to knock all the teeth out of his mouth, asked if he was looking for death, and insisted that they should stop talking and break his arm first. Lin Yuan easily dodged one of them, punched the second, followed up with another strike, and then turned to kick the third. He finished by stomping on the face of the man on the ground, continuing to step on him while the other students gathered around to watch the men weep in shame. Once the attackers were gone, Lin Tan remained in a state of shock. She asked why he had come to the school, privately wondering how someone who spent all day playing games managed to show up for her. He explained that their father had sprained his back and their mother was busy caring for him at home. When she asked if the injury was serious, he assured her it was not a big problem. A heavy silence settled between them, and she felt the awkwardness of the situation. Realizing it had been a long time since they had spoken like this, she took a good look at him, but a classmate interrupted her thoughts. The student asked if he was really her brother, noting that he did not look like the lazy sibling she had described, while another agreed and expressed surprise that their senior, Lin Yuan, was so skilled and handsome. They wondered why she had never mentioned him before. Lin Tan questioned if he was truly handsome, and as more students gathered to admire his looks and compare him favorably to the boys at school, she realized his popularity was unexpectedly high. One student greeted him, and as he returned the gesture, Lin Tan wondered how she had failed to notice his height before. She observed his muscles and pondered when he had started working out, concluding that his physical transformation explained his fighting prowess. Despite the change, he was still the same person she knew. She recalled how he used to be so engrossed in his games that he could not even clean his room or himself, and she found herself wondering what had caused such a sudden and massive shift in his character. Lin Tan said goodbye to her classmates as they headed home for the day. She felt puzzled when Lin Yuan suddenly crouched on the ground in front of her. He insisted that she climb onto his back, leaving the remaining students around them completely amazed. She refused the offer, preferring to walk on her own while wondering what he was doing, as the last thing she wanted was to be carried in front of everyone. He pulled her toward him anyway, and despite her protests, he pointed out that since all her colleagues had already left, she should not push herself if she could not walk properly. He asked if she had twisted her ankle when she was pushed earlier, and she wondered how he had even noticed that detail. A few moments later, they arrived home, and Lin Tan called out to their parents. The parents exchanged silent glances, and their father noted that the important thing was that they both returned safely. After dinner, Lin Yuan took over the chore of washing the dishes. Their mother remarked that he seemed like a completely different person compared to his usual self, and their father agreed, adding that he had started cooking and even buying new electrical appliances for the house, which left Lin Tan speechless. Their mother suggested that their sibling relationship had finally returned to how it was in their childhood and had truly improved, asking if that was the case. Lin Tan considered him a strange person and wondered if he had really changed. Lin Yuan announced that he had arranged everything and headed back to his room. She watched him close the door behind him, wondering what she was expecting from him, and concluded that he was still just a reclusive, unemployed young man addicted to games. She felt startled when he suddenly opened the door again to hand her some medicine. He instructed her to apply it after her shower because of its excellent therapeutic effect, then mentioned he was going to play and warned her not to enter his room unless it was something important. She carefully held the medicine bottle and replied that it was fine because no one wanted to enter his room anyway, offering a discreet smile as she spoke. He listened from the doorway while their mother reminded her to pay attention to how much their relationship had improved. Their mother asked what had happened at school that day, but Lin Tan dismissed it as nothing and headed off to take a shower. Lin Yuan remarked that the recent household chores could be put to an end for now. He looked at his virtual reality headset and decided it was time to get back to the game. He was transported to the main districts of Wind Sands and reminded himself that they needed to find and bring that rat in. The system notified him that he had successfully entered the Wind Sands area. A few moments later, a man addressed as the honorable officer swore by the heavens that the situation was just a misunderstanding. The officer ordered him to be silent, take his filthy lies elsewhere, and go repent in prison. The man felt alarmed when he sensed Lin Yuan's presence nearby, though he wondered if it was just an illusion. Lin Yuan remained hidden behind one of the pillars. He noted that the street patrol soldiers possessed an extremely sharp sense for criminals, and after calculating the time needed for his sin level to return to 0, he realized he still had to lie low for at least 3 more days. This presented a suitable opportunity to go and retrieve an old friend he had not seen in a long time. Lin Yuan arrived at the church where Father Lawrence stood, declaring that the darkness of the man's past had washed away in the name of the Lord. The priest promised that from that point onward, his soul would remain as pure as pristine snow, while the holy light illuminated his path during the baptism. Lin Yuan interrupted the ceremony by mentioning his arrival from the charity house for the poor, which left the priest visibly startled. He explained that he heard about a patient in critical condition at that location and had come specifically to provide treatment. Father Lawrence agreed to trouble him with the illness of Knight Doug, and Lin Yuan accepted the task. He recalled that Doug Wayne once served as a member of the Scorpion Lions Knights, one of the strongest orders in the ancient Western Desert Kingdom. In his past life, he had barely managed to secure a gold-grade weapon from the Knight while only at level 15. Upon approaching Doug, he stated that he came specifically to treat the poisons ravaging the man's body. Doug looked him over and noticed he was only level 10. The Knight questioned whether a mere level 10 mage could handle such a task, noting that even the patrol soldiers on the streets possessed higher levels. He hissed in pain and coughed up a piece of his internal organ. Lin Yuan observed that the poisons had already begun to eat away at the Knight's organs, warning that death would follow within a month if the treatment remained unaccepted. Doug countered that the cure required 1,000 grams of rotted gillfish fat, suggesting that he should try his luck in the muddy clay desert if he lacked a fear of death. The system notified Lin Yuan that he had triggered a gold-level quest to obtain the fat and treat the poison, and he accepted the challenge without hesitation. Elsewhere, human skulls floated in the murky waters of the muddy clay desert where a group of level 15 rotted gillfishes swam. A party of players attacking the monsters found themselves caught off guard. The party leader urged the group to hold their ground and avoid the sharp teeth of the creatures while continuing the assault. One member complained about their back just as a fish used its tail to launch an attack. The leader dodged the strike, but the other members failed to react in time and fell into the muddy water. Surrounded by the fishes, they cried out for help. The monsters activated a skill called Tail Weave Leap, and another fish let out a powerful roar that pushed the leader backward. The leader lost his balance and felt taken aback as a fish opened its mouth to consume him. Certain of his impending death, the leader closed his eyes to accept his fate. But Lin Yuan arrived just in time. He grabbed the leader by the collar and told him not to get in the way. Lunging forward while still holding the man, he released a powerful aura that stunned the fish. The creature's head exploded from the force of the strike. Lin Yuan scoffed as he landed safely on the ground, leaving the leader in a state of complete confusion. The leader blinked in disbelief, wondering if he actually survived the encounter, and urged his savior to wait a moment. Lin Yuan ignored the plea entirely and charged straight into the fray. The leader stammered about being the great hero who held the line just a moment ago, but Lin Yuan was already airborne, gathering his spirit flame magic to rain down destruction upon the monsters below. As the flames pelted the creatures, one fish leaped from the murky water, followed quickly by the rest of the pack as they lunged toward their target. The leader shouted a warning for the hero to watch out, but the fishes only chomped on empty air as Lin Yuan swiftly evaded their reach. He taunted the monsters, asking if that was truly all they had, before skidding to a halt on the ground. Clenching his fist and digging his feet into the mud for leverage, he summoned his sword and declared that scum grouped together remained nothing more than scum. He moved with blinding speed, darting between the fishes and cutting them down one by one. The leader cursed in frustration, questioning what kind of hero would leave 8 people to be nearly crushed while he soloed 5 monsters at once. He acknowledged the man's immense strength, but insisted that killing those fish alone was impossible, especially since their group attack skill was the most dreadful part of their arsenal. The fishes gathered their strength, and a thick green mist soon filled the area, completely obstructing vision. Lin Yuan remained unfazed, feeling intrigued rather than threatened. The system notified him that the rotted gill fishes were casting Cursed Fang Echo, a skill designed to hit all enemies in range with a toxic fog that induced confusion and auditory hallucinations. Dismissing the move as a trivial trick, he vowed that he would not fall for such a thing in this life. He summoned the giant wolf and commanded it to rise and unleash the howl of the hungry wolf. The beast let out a powerful howl, and the system confirmed that the target was hit, leaving the rotted gillfishes in a state of dizziness. Lin Yuan equipped the Awakening Mask, a one-time use item that provided defense against the toxic fog, and widened his stance in preparation for the final strike. He lunged forward, declaring that they should meet their death. The system notified him that he struck a vital point, and he swung his sword again to land another critical hit. He commanded the monsters to die as they groaned in agony, and the system confirmed yet another vital point strike. One fish attempted to escape from behind while Lin Yuan stood atop the pile of corpses, but he mocked its lack of speed. He told the creatures that since they loved playing the role of stinking insects in the mud, they should rot down below forever, because they were nothing but scum. He threw his sword at the fleeing fish, and the impact created a massive explosion. The leader marveled at the display, but the mage in the group warned that letting their guard down was premature because more enemies were approaching. Lin Yuan ordered the Thunder Scorpion to launch its Crystal Thunderstorm skill, which sent a barrage of thunder bullets slamming into the mud. While the bombardment hit the fishes, some bullets merely grazed their skin or pierced their mouths without dealing deep enough damage. One player lamented that the attempt was useless since the gap in levels and numbers made a one-shot wipe impossible. Lin Yuan suddenly leaped off the pile of corpses and headed toward the players, questioning whoever claimed he intended to kill them all in one go. He quickly pulled his hood over his head to conceal his identity. The leader wondered what was happening, while another player noted that the scorpion was specifically targeting the bellies of the female fishes. They watched in bewilderment as the male fishes began attacking one another, turning the mud into a scene of total chaos. Lin Yuan knew that when female rotted gillfishes died or laid eggs, they released a glutinous substance that triggered a frenzy in the males, driving them to protect the eggs by attacking anything in sight. He was intentionally exploiting this biological quirk to force the school to slaughter itself. Suddenly, a massive rotted gillfish erupted from the murky water. A player warned their great lord to watch out, but Lin Yuan remained unfazed even as the beast loomed directly in front of him, ready to devour him whole. The group wondered if this monster was also a female and how it managed to grow to such a massive size. Lin Yuan welcomed the arrival as perfect timing and commanded his ghostly wolves to attack. The wolves swarmed the fish, biting it from every angle. Lin Yuan noted that the level 15 elite monster lived up to its reputation, as even 6 undead wolves failed to inflict a fatal wound. He realized that simply halting its movement would make the rest of the battle much easier. He swung his sword, and the system confirmed the death of the elite rotted gillfish. He grabbed the eggs from its belly and transferred them to its severed head. The leader asked the others what the man was doing, while Lin Yuan commanded the giant wolf to leap toward a specific rock in the middle of the area. The wolf obeyed, dropping the head filled with eggs onto the rock and letting out a roar. Lin Yuan ordered the beast to gather the school, and the fishes immediately swam toward the rock. He moved to attract the rest of the pack, and the fishes slammed into the rock with full force. A player realized the school was dizzied by the impact and understood that Lin Yuan was using the eggs as a pheromone source to deliberately throw the entire school into a state of chaotic frenzy. Lin Yuan decided that the current level of chaos was not enough and prepared to continue, noting that it was time for them to get their best drink. Lin Yuan directed the kobolds to continue their work, and they swung their pickaxes to strike the fish. One of the players inquired if the blue poison sac from inside the males was the key, and Lin Yuan confirmed that the blue poison sac growing inside the males functioned similarly to capsaicin. The poisonous gas and foul smell emitted by the sac signaled danger to the rest of the fish schools, causing the other rotted gillfish to swim away from the blue liquid oozing out. Lin Yuan explained that the fish moved at least 5 meters away and dared not stay, especially since they lacked immunity to their own poison and would be left at the mercy of others once afflicted. The leader observed that all the schools of fish had vanished, leaving only the subquest and the loot behind. Lin Yuan approached the pile of dead fish and reflected on how the mask played a considerable role in the battle. It was a shame that the item could only be used once after he bought it for 5 gold coins, but the effort proved worth it. The system notified him that he obtained 1,000 grams of rotted gillfish oil. Lin Yuan realized he almost forgot about the Wave Tickler's nose, an armor-type item, and looked at it with disdain. The quest reward offered high value, but the design felt like a bad joke from the game designer, and he wondered how such a demonic thing that turned its wearer into a clown could ever drop. Suddenly, the leader remarked that the item looked cool, and even lit up, noting that it also moved. Lin Yuan asked if the leader liked the nose cover, and the leader expressed that it was very unique, offering to buy it no matter the cost. One of the party members apologized for the leader's behavior, but Lin Yuan decided to give it away as a gift. The leader insisted on paying, but Lin Yuan refused. Lin Yuan suddenly grew wings, leading the leader to declare him an angel, while the party members wondered what that nonsense was and if anyone would actually pay money for such a thing. A few moments later, Lin Yuan returned to the church and poured the rotted gillfish oil into Doug's chest. Doug expressed surprise, as he did not expect the collection to be successful. The system notified Lin Yuan that he successfully completed the gold quest, Doug's request, and received the gold weapon, the green spirit blade. Lin Yuan recalled that this was the first gold-grade weapon he obtained in his past life. Although the basic effect remained rather ordinary, the attached skill, Green Spirit Curse Seal, possessed highly efficient combat properties, especially the hidden effect. With every hit, the blade accumulated green spirit energy inside the enemy, and after 3 hits, it caused additional damage equal to spirit times 250%. That blade helped him sweep through the West Desert until he reached the top and became the #1 mage in the region. He thoroughly inspected the blade, and the system notified him that he obtained a reputation reward of 1,000 main city reputation and 500 Scorpion Tail Knights reputation. He noted that although the reputation points reached only the neutral level, just like in his past life, they sufficed to allow him to wander around the city areas. He felt surprised that more rewards followed, as the system notified him that his brilliant completion of the quest granted an NPC affinity reward, increasing Doug's affinity by 10. He realized that things seemed a little different this time. Doug expressed immense gratitude, stating that he might have met his end on his deathbed by next month, if not for Lin Yuan, who replied that it was the least he could do. Doug mentioned that he had something he must warn him about as a token of his gratitude. Lin Yuan wondered if gaining those 10 extra affection points activated a hidden plotline for him. Doug warned him that if he ever met someone named Quincy, he should not go near him. Lin Yuan questioned the validity of the warning by pointing out that Quincy was his teacher, but Doug challenged the nature of that relationship. The old man revealed that despite the hidden abilities, Lin Yuan was actually a Soul Reaper. This revelation prompted a demand for confirmation, leading Lin Yuan to wonder how his identity was discovered since he kept his information concealed so well that even Quincy should have remained unaware. Doug explained that his former membership in the Knights of the Black Scorpions provided the answer. Those knights answered directly to the king and handled secret missions, including the hunting of Soul Reapers, which required learning an exclusive skill called Darkness Perception. This skill allowed them to automatically sense the presence of a Soul Reaper, with the clarity of that perception increasing as the distance between them closed. Lin Yuan questioned if his identity had been known from the start, struggling to understand how such a specific anti-Soul Reaper skill could exist. Doug clarified that the perception was initially weak due to the fatal poison afflicting his body, but the removal of that poison allowed the unique aura of the Lord of Darkness surrounding Lin Yuan to become impossible to hide. When Lin Yuan asked about the Lord of Darkness, Doug recounted a legend from ancient times. This entity was once the most powerful of 6 gods in the world of immortality, standing alongside the god of light, the king of the moon's shadow, the goddess of nature, the lord of the tides, and the king of spirits. The Lord of Darkness relied on his immense might to do as he pleased, granting his most loyal followers dark power that transformed them into Soul Reapers to carry out divine orders. Under his bloody rule, those followers spread plagues, killed thousands, and turned the souls of the fallen into the living dead, causing countless disasters. Kingdoms eventually rose up to resist, destroying the temples used to sanctify him and burning all related records to ash. Soul Reapers faced execution on the spot upon discovery, and their abilities were officially listed as forbidden. Doug shared that he had suffered for 10 years after being poisoned by a Soul Reaper during a past battle, eventually resigning himself to death until Lin Yuan arrived. Lin Yuan reflected on his past life as a mere sorcerer, never suspecting that such dark secrets hid behind the legends. The forbidden nature of the Soul Reaper ability finally made sense, and he felt fortunate to have remained in a state of concealment until now. The situation grew complicated because he had hoped to solve his evil points and secretly investigate the badge in the main city. But he now realized that failing to hide the aura of the Lord of Darkness would lead to immediate exposure. He asked if any way existed to avoid the darkness perception of the Knights of the Black Scorpions. Doug confirmed that a solution existed, but it required assistance from Quincy, which was a death sentence since Quincy would certainly kill anyone revealed to be a Soul Reaper. A Soul Reaper had murdered the wife he loved, so he warned that staying away from him at any cost was the only way to survive. Lin Yuan remained speechless at the revelation. A few moments later, he arrived at the gravel desert as the system notified him of his return. 10 minutes earlier, Doug had questioned if he had gone mad by intending to approach Quincy, expressing a deep desire to tear every Soul Reaper to shreds. Lin Yuan had insisted that he had no other choice. Back in the present, he realized that carrying the aura of darkness made travel to the main city or any other map impossible, so resolving the issue quickly was essential. Suddenly, arrows flew toward him. He noticed the projectiles immediately and dodged them, but more arrows followed, leaving him taken aback. Alarm set in when he spotted the Bloodscar Guild ahead, running directly toward him. Huang Feilong declared that after roaming the ruined area for days, they finally caught the scoundrel. He noted that while the target slipped away last time, he now brought more than 30 brothers along to ensure a miserable death. Huang Feihu added that when the head fell to the ground, the victim should remember to scream louder to please his ears. A bug flew above the area with eyes acting as cameras, notifying people in the real world that the Bloodstained Guild was streaming. Huang Feihu laughed and told the esteemed viewers they were lucky to catch the live stream as they were about to present a show on how to slowly tear someone to pieces. The viewer count jumped from 88 to 212. At an office, a worker asked if the Bloodstained Guild was streaming again. One viewer noted the odds were over 30 against 1 and wondered who the unlucky guy was, while another mentioned the target looked familiar. A different viewer remarked that the kid was handsome, though it would all be over for him soon. On the live stream, Lin Yuan dismissed them all as nothing but wild dogs, not even worth a warm-up. But since they rushed to offer their heads, he would gladly accept them. Viewers reacted to the boldness of the wild statement, with some asking the Bloodstained Guild to repeat themselves, others commenting on his handsomeness, and some preparing seeds and drinks to enjoy the bloody massacre from the front rows. Huang Feilong ordered everyone to get him. The guild immediately charged at Lin Yuan as a mage unleashed electric power, an archer aimed an arrow, and the close-ranged combatants jumped into the fray. The system notified Lin Yuan that the Sucker Punch judgment was established, granting him a 15-minute counterattack window where killing his attackers would not count toward his sin points. 15 minutes was more than enough to kill every single one of them 3 times over. He summoned his Undead Legion, inviting them out for a walk as they emerged and roared ferociously. Dismissing the incoming magical assault as mere lighter sparks, he questioned if they truly dared to call such a pathetic display thunder. He then called upon the Thunder Scorpion to poison them. Huang Feilong barked orders for all units to fall back and form a shield wall for cover, while the mages focused their fire and the rogues and archers began skirmishing. As they lined up, the mages plunged their staves into the ground to activate the reinforced skill, gathering all their electrifying energy into one staff. A mage screamed while directing that concentrated energy into the undead, filling the area with powerful lightning bolts that struck the legion. Huang Feilong commanded the archers to fire their arrows, landing another hit on the undead. The viewer count dropped to 168 as the audience debated the outcome. One viewer questioned if the summons were just a piece of cake for an elite squad of level 7 or 8, while others announced their departure, mocked the target as just another newbie trying to show off, or opened a betting pool on how many minutes the kid would last. Back in the fray, Huang Feilong insisted that it did not matter if Lin Yuan could summon the undead, because even if he brought out that thing from last time, their continuous assault would reduce it to a pile of rotten meat, and Huang Feihu promised that he would perish that day. Lin Yuan simply asked if they really believed that was the reality of the situation. Huang Feilong noticed him smiling and grew suspicious. Suddenly, a viewer cursed in confusion as movement rippled through the sand beneath the mages. They were taken aback before the sand burst upward, causing them to scream for help. The warriors grew tense at the sight. A kobold emerged from the sand, and the mages screamed as they were struck one after another. They realized it was only one hit, but urged each other to retreat quickly. The warriors also screamed for help as more kobolds appeared and attacked them. Huang Feihu was horrified while Huang Feilong grew alarmed. The viewer count surged to 302 as the audience reacted to the underground ambush. Some wondered if the undead were coordinating their attacks, while others demanded that the people who called them a piece of cake come out to get beaten. mocked those who had bragged about tearing him to pieces, and noted that the ground was already full of their pieces. One mage warned the others to watch out because the wounds were poisoned, advising them to purify first and then heal, but they were interrupted by screams as they were blown to bits. Lin Yuan directed his aura at them and obliterated them. A ripple in space appeared behind Lin Yuan, but without looking back, he quickly plunged his sword into the distortion. The rogue who had attempted the strike asked how he knew. Lin Yuan pointed out that his opponent was at least not stupid enough to go invisible on sandy ground. Meanwhile, the guild members panicked as they realized the undead were far too strong, and with the front line already fallen, they urged everyone to retreat. Huang Feihu grew enraged, cursing Lin Yuan as useless scum and swearing that he would slaughter him personally. Lin Yuan glared back, smirking as he summoned his sword and invited him to try. He immediately activated his skill, Azure Soul Curse Seal, leaving Huang Feihu taken aback as he found himself surrounded by spectral skulls, frozen midair by the curse. He could only watch as Lin Yuan moved with lethal speed to execute the skill Sever. Both landed on the ground, and Huang Feilong froze in place while watching his guild members scream helplessly for help. He wondered if he was imagining things, struck by the realization that Lin Yuan felt entirely different than he had just a few days ago. Standing there, Lin Yuan radiated an aura that made him feel like a demon, straight from hell. As Lin Yuan glanced his way, Huang Feilong pleaded for his life. Lin Yuan simply pulled his sword from the lifeless body of a guild member and walked toward him, noting that it was finally his turn to enjoy the taste of despair. He threw his sword, stabbing Huang Feilong in the head and declaring that it was over. Suddenly, the buzzing of the flying bug caught his attention, and realizing it was still surveilling him, he made the device explode. With the silence restored, the scene shifted to a luxurious mansion on Earth where Huang Feihu sat. Viewers of the stream cursed in frustration at the boss for blowing up the bug, while others debated his identity. Some recognized him as the same boss who killed the giant deathwolf, confirming they had been there on site. As the chat flooded with questions about his location and requests for a meeting, others speculated that he was in the gravel desert and noted that the mercenary guild had already sent out an S-class invitation. Back in the mansion, Huang Feihu grew even more enraged at the sight of Lin Yuan. Meanwhile, in Eternal Blacksand Town, Quincy remained at home. Drunk, Lin Yuan entered the house, and Quincy grumbled that he was back again, insisting he was done teaching for the day since he had enough money for wine. Lin Yuan ignored the dismissal and requested a conversation while canceling his profession concealment. His forbidden ability as a Soul Reaper was immediately revealed, leaving Quincy stunned as he asked if that was truly what he was. Quincy released his energy to control shattered wine jars, launching them as projectiles at Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan managed to evade every shard, leaving Quincy to wonder at such incredible speed. Before he could react, Lin Yuan appeared directly in front of him, shattering the remaining shards with a swing of his sword before pointing the blade at his throat. Quincy froze in place. Lin Yuan pressed for a calm discussion, which forced Quincy to demand the true nature of his intentions. Recalling a past conversation with Doug, Lin Yuan decided to treat the threat of information as a way to return a favor. Long ago, the arrogance of the Dark Lord caused many worlds to sink into endless despair, sparking a fierce battle between a Soul Reaper, Quincy, and his wife. That bloody conflict ended with the death of the Soul Reaper, while his wife fell victim to an undead curse while trying to save the gravely wounded Quincy. Her soul became tainted by dark power, turning her into a mindless beast condemned to eternal suffering. The only way to save her was to destroy that tainted soul, but the injuries Quincy sustained in that battle left him unable to hold a sword. Everyone expected him to drink his life away in despair, yet he eventually announced a mysterious quest. He promised his life savings to anyone on the side of justice who could save his wife. While offering Soul Reapers the secret method to decipher dark perception, a treasure he had seized from the fallen Soul Reaper. He intended to use these spoils as bait to save his wife and make the remaining Soul Reapers pay for their blood debt. But all 158 people who accepted the quest perished. Back in the present, Lin Yuan demanded the details of that quest. Quincy agreed, noting that he had been complaining about the lack of someone to entertain his beloved wife in her game for quite some time. The system immediately notified Lin Yuan of the discovery of Quincy's quest, titled Soul of the Deceased Wife, which required him to help the wife find relief and rest in peace within a 10-day time limit. Lin Yuan accepted the mission. Quincy wished him luck, though he privately doubted anyone could succeed, assuming the boy would be lucky if his corpse crawled back intact. A few moments later, Lin Yuan arrived at the mourner's sanctum in the north of Black Sand Town. He walked through the dark corridors after consuming a night vision potion. He summoned 2 kobolds to lead the way with torches while a thunder scorpion guarded his back. He knew the mourner's sanctum contained 5 floors where all the NPCs who died in Black Sand Town were buried. A zombie suddenly burst from a coffin with a ferocious roar, but Lin Yuan remained unfazed as the thunder scorpion handled the threat. He understood that undead monsters like zombies, skeletons, and ghosts appeared periodically, with their levels increasing floor by floor. The first floor held level 1 to 3 zombies, the second floor contained level 4 to 6 skeletons, the third floor featured level 7 to 9 ghosts, and the fourth floor housed level 10 ghouls. The kobolds waited for him at the portal, and he decided they should clear the first 4 floors in one go. Upon reaching the 4th level of the mourner's sanctum, he looked ahead with caution, sensing a noise in the distance. A swarm of level 10 elite ghouls surrounded the area, activating their wall-running and suspended rend skills while preparing to unleash corrupting venom bite. Lin Yuan ordered an immediate attack, prompting his undead thunder scorpion to lunge forward with its earth-rending pincer skill. The creature moved with lethal speed, striking multiple ghouls with a single swing of its tail. Lin Yuan charged into the fray, cutting down one enemy after another as they screamed in agony. By the time he finished his advance, the ghouls behind him lay sliced into pieces on the floor. One survivor crawled toward him, but he finished it off, noting how close he had come to missing the target. The system confirmed his level had increased to 12, a progression that felt faster than he anticipated. He lamented that his dark summoning skill could only control physical corpses rather than wandering spirits. Suddenly, a surge of dark energy manifested behind him, catching him off guard. A powerful beam erupted from the darkness, but he split it in half with a precise sword strike. To his surprise, the severed energy redirected and swirled around him, consuming him entirely. Moments later, the dark energy deposited him onto an altar. He landed on his feet and scanned the surroundings, noticing a chained box hanging from above. The entire area had shifted. Inside the box waited a level 18 boss, the vengeful corpse spirit, who laughed and remarked that she had waited a long time for his arrival. She shattered the box and destroyed the restraining chains, eager for fresh flesh and blood. Lin Yuan realized he had arrived at the 5th floor. The spirit lunged with her claws, vowing to tear him to pieces, but he blocked the strike with his sword. She activated her corpse bloom skill, forcing him to step back as thorny, corrosive vines slammed into the ground. She directed more vines toward him, and he gripped his sword with both arms, dismissing the attack as useless before swinging his blade to sever the growth in one motion. As the vines struggled to recover, he leaped into the air and used his sword to deflect the spirit's poisonous liquid. Cracks appeared on her skin, fueling her rage. She cast Banshee's Wail, and while he initially suspected a wide-ranged area of effect skill, he realized it was a summoning technique. Eerie noises and heavy banging echoed from behind the closed doors. Alarmed, he watched as a skeletal hand burst through the wood. He braced himself, wondering if the buried NPCs of Black Sand Town were rising. He realized that not only the original townspeople, but also the many challengers who failed Quincy's quest likely filled these graves. He cursed, questioning if she intended to resurrect them all, as a horde of skeleton monsters screeched and crawled out of their resting places. The sheer number of enemies was overwhelming, and the realization that the boss possessed the ability to resurrect that entire pile of bones caught Lin Yuan completely off guard. He immediately ordered his entire undead legion to emerge and block the gates against those bastards, intending to use them as cannon fodder to hold the line for the time being. The Thunder Scorpion took its position blocking one of the doors, while he commanded the forces to apply the Bloodlust state. The kobold leader whipped the other undead, forcing them into an immediate Bloodlust state. He then summoned the kobold leader and the Crystal Thunder Scorpion to launch an assault. The Crystal Thunder Scorpion unleashed its earth-rending claw skill, while the kobold leader followed up with a heavy strike. The vengeful corpse spirit jumped back to evade the incoming attacks, but the ceiling suddenly crumbled above her. She looked on in alarm as huge rocks fell, yet she remained completely unscathed, because the debris simply passed through her ethereal form. Lin Yuan felt a surge of surprise, realizing that wandering spirits belonged to the ghost-type monster family, which meant their bodies could pass through buildings and granted them immunity to half of all physical attacks. He recalled that they took double damage from magic attacks, so he summoned his skulls and activated the Azure Soul Curse Seal to inflict damage. Though she remained entirely unfazed, her speed suddenly increased while the corpses continued to force their way out from behind the doors. Lin Yuan knew the summoned NPC corpses might break through the Undead Legion's defense line at any moment, making it vital to end the fight quickly by finding a way to restrain her movement. He clenched the paralysis ring in his hand, equipped it, and charged toward her to activate the additional paralysis poison skill. The vengeful corpse spirit took a direct hit from the poison, and the system confirmed the successful activation. He pressed the advantage, noting that it was not over yet as he landed another hit with the Azure Soul Curse Seal. She crashed against the wall, and he landed on the ground after delivering his combo attack. She fell from the dent in the wall and slammed into the floor. He noted the excellent progress, observing that the Azure Soul Curse Seal had successfully slowed her speed as expected, and he immediately called for the evil wolf's howl. The system confirmed its activation, and she groaned in pain as the system notified him that the target was stunned. He acknowledged that while the stun only lasted for 5 seconds, it provided enough time to see how many hits she could endure. She took successive damage from his attacks, and although they were small, she grew enraged and bit her lip. She screamed as a powerful dark aura leaked from her body, and the system notified him that the boss had activated the corpse explosion art. The corpses behind the doors exploded, catching the Undead Legion in the blast, and a few moments later, the dust from the explosion began to settle. Lin Yuan used his Undead Legion to shield his body from the explosion as he realized the monster intended to detonate the NPC corpses to destroy the entire tomb chamber with the corpse explosion art. Since only 3 members of his legion remained, he suffered a heavy loss but walked toward the vengeful corpse spirit to finish her off. He decided she should vanish and attacked her with his Azure Soul Curse Seal skill. She screamed in protest while the system notified him that she entered a near-death state with her HP dropping from 300 to 200 and finally to 30 before her body was obliterated and vanished. The system congratulated him for the kill and awarded him 800 experience points. As he landed back on the ground and wondered if it was over, he noticed soul fragments gathering behind him. A mage appeared to thank him as a brave human and revealed herself as the wife of Quincy before she smiled bitterly and handed him an item. The system identified it as the Ethereal Ring of Love, a quest item that could not be dropped or sold and served as the engagement ring Quincy gave to his wife. Lin Yuan wondered if that ring was the only reward for killing the boss, but a skill book suddenly appeared in front of him. He felt intrigued and questioned what it was. Lin Yuan realized the corpse explosion art used by the vengeful spirit was a skill exclusive to Soul Reapers, and wondered if that was because the one who sealed her was a confidant of the Dark Lord. The system notified him that the skill book was being automatically recorded in his memory, so he gladly accepted the new ability. The system explained that the corpse explosion art was at level 1 and could detonate a single corpse to deal fire damage to nearby enemies equal to 20% of his HP. He thought that although the skill consumed his corpse supply, its effect on attack power and range was a pleasant surprise. The next day, Lin Yuan returned to Black Sand Town, where Quincy asked if the item was the engagement ring he gave her back then. Quincy explained that sealed spirits had no memory and only regained them when freed, which caused them to drop what they cherished most in life. When Quincy asked if his wife suffered much pain when she passed, Lin Yuan assured him she did not. The engagement ring shone in the hands of Quincy as he held it gently and recalled the smiling face of his wife. He expressed his happiness and noted that he never expected a Soul Reaper, the thing he hated most, to help him fulfill his wish, so he promised to keep that favor deep within his heart. He then summoned a chest and stated it was time to fulfill his promise. He revealed the Crown of Darkness, which would make his sin value invisible, hide his dark aura, and make it undetectable, as it was part of the exclusive equipment for Soul Reapers that could not be sold or destroyed. Lin Yuan realized that although the Crown of Darkness provided no extra stats, hiding his sin value and dark aura was exactly what he needed at that moment. Since he solved the Manticore Knits problem, he no longer had to restrict his movements in the main city, so he accepted the system prompt to use the new equipment. A magic circle rotated within his body, while dark fire lingered around him, and he remarked that he finally obtained the item and wondered if he was one step closer to the truth. The next day, the system welcomed him back to the main city of Wind and Sand, where he considered that while there were countless guilds in the city, only 10 could be considered real powers. He wondered if that person was hiding among them, and thought that since he was just a newcomer, getting close to those major guilds would not be easy, so he decided he needed to find an opportunity first. Suddenly, he noticed a player following him, and quickly took a sharp turn to escape the crowd. Han Qing chased after him, but felt surprised when he turned the corner and found Lin Yuan gone. Lin Yuan suddenly pointed his sword at his neck and demanded to know who he was. Han Qing exclaimed that he finally found Mr. Yuan, but Lin Yuan instinctively dodged to the side, causing the man to fall to the ground. When Lin Yuan asked again for his identity, Han Qing claimed he remembered him from the Bloodstained Guild broadcast and explained that he went through tens of thousands of comments to find a clue before spending $2 million to upgrade his group's facial recognition system. Lin Yuan questioned if he really spent that much just to look for him, and Han Qing asked if that was a lot, noting that the Han group usually spent several million just on system testing. Lin Yuan wondered if the Han group was truly that multi-hundred-billion-dollar giant that dominated the global high-tech market, and he considered what else someone with such a background might know, and if he should finish him off right there. Han Qing suggested that Lin Yuan join his team for an S-rank hunt in the Molten Bloodscale Cave the following day because someone discovered the lair of a corroded iron hyena, but he tripped and fell before he could finish his sentence, which left Lin Yuan speechless. Lin Yuan told him to leave and stop following him while wondering why he was even arguing with an idiot. Han Qing laughed and agreed that an expert of his level who crushed the Bloodstained Guild elite squad like watermelons did not need a team. But he added that the third team from the Black Tree Guild would be there to select rookies, so an outstanding performance might provide a chance. Lin Yuan recalled that the Black Tree Guild was 10th on the ranking, and Han Qing noted that it seemed he would have to go and try his luck himself. Lin Yuan asked for the specific time, and when Han Qing looked taken aback, he clarified that he wanted to know exactly when the hunt would start. Han Qing explained that it would begin the next day at 8 a.m. and asked if that meant Mr. Yuan agreed. But Lin Yuan told him to just call him Lin Yuan, and noted that they needed to prepare well before they set off. Han Qing looked puzzled, so a few moments later, Lin Yuan headed to the Vulture Bandits camp, where he caused a huge explosion. He remarked that the leader should be up ahead and let out a deep breath before summoning level 12 Undead Vulture Bandits, telling them that they should attack together. A group of Vulture Bandits surrounded the boss ahead of them, and as they let out their battle cries, they charged forward. Lin Yuan ordered the Undead to attack, and the Undead Vulture Bandits ferociously fought the Vulture Bandits. One bandit activated its scimitar throw skill to attack, but Lin Yuan stood there unfazed. And when the weapon hit the ground, he disappeared. The bandit looked surprised, so Lin Yuan declared that he would take their souls. The system notified him that he successfully killed 3 Vulture Bandit leaders, and he continued attacking them one after the other until the system confirmed he had killed 10 in total. Their bodies fell to the ground, but he felt baffled when he looked toward the boss and thought that it had vanished. Suddenly, the level 19 Vulture Bandit Lord appeared behind him and activated its backstab skill, but Lin Yuan immediately used his corpse explosion art and told the enemy that it should die. A glint of energy escaped his eyes as he glanced over his shoulder, and a huge explosion occurred behind him. The Vulture Lord screamed while escaping the blast, but Lin Yuan quickly lunged toward him. The boss looked taken surprise when Lin Yuan appeared in an instant, and after telling him to take it, Lin Yuan activated his shadow gloves and told the creature to go to hell. The Vulture Lord crashed to the ground, and the system notified Lin Yuan that he had killed the boss and leveled up to level 13. His Curse of Darkness skill reached level 3, and his Corpse Explosion art reached level 2. Lin Yuan stood there reading the notifications and recalled the system asking if he wanted to use a skill scroll to upgrade, which he had accepted. Back in the present, he noted that the efficiency was not bad since he had used a skill scroll to upgrade Curse of Darkness once before and raised it directly to level 3 while leveling up his Corpse Explosion art as well. He thought that his Undead Legion was sufficient for the time being, and the system notified him that he had obtained 130 undead monsters, including level 15 Vulture Bandit leaders and the level 19 Vulture Bandit Lord. He wondered if the Vulture Bandit Lord gained an additional skill after being revived, remembering that the giant death wolf had gained the Wraith's Fury skill last time. He thought it seemed interesting that reviving Lord-level monsters might grant them additional skills. The system then notified him that the hunting campaign would officially begin in 2 hours, so he grinned and said that they should get ready to move out. A few moments later, Lin Yuan arrived at the melted Bloodscale cave and asked Han Qing what he was wearing, specifically questioning if he was disguised as a Golden Knight statue. Han Qing explained that he spent 50 gold coins to have a master blacksmith craft that super armor, so he would not be a burden that day, but his belt suddenly ripped and his pants fell off, leaving both of them speechless. Lin Yuan remarked that it was the first time he had seen such unique segmented armor, and Han Qing replied that the blacksmith claimed it was the latest style. Suddenly, his visor closed on its own, and he panicked because he could not see the road. So he asked Lin Yuan to save him. He then tripped on a man's foot, and his head crashed against his chest plate, but the impact loosened the hinge of his visor, and he was surprised to see Zhao Kui looming over him with deadly eyes. Zhao Kui, the level 15 third team captain of the Black Tree Guild, asked if he was all right, and while Han Qing thought Zhao Kui was smiling, he wondered why he felt like a venomous snake was glaring at him. Lin Yuan grabbed him from behind and asked if he was going to take that stupid gear off, which Han Qing agreed was a good idea. Lin Yuan then caught Zhao Kui's attention while glaring daggers at him, and in his mind, Zhao Kui questioned why he dared to stare back and thought he was an annoying person. One of the Black Tree Guild members then called out to them and asked which one was Han Qing while looking at an application form. He stared at the players and asked if the one wearing eccentric clothes was indeed Han Qing, mocking his taste and asking if he thought he was in an over-the-top cosplay show. Han Qing confirmed his identity and asked if they were the big brothers from the Black Tree Guild, but as he started to introduce his friend, the guild member pointed his sword at him. The member told him that was enough because they were not interested in the names of newbies, and he warned him to remember that they did not let him bring someone along because their captain was exceptionally generous rather than because of a double registration fee. Lin Yuan remained silent but was visibly displeased, so Zhao Kui asked his subordinate what he was doing and told him to be nice to their new friends. The member claimed he was just joking and returned his sword to its sheath, but he warned them not to get full of themselves just because their captain was kind and told them to appreciate the opportunity with gratitude. Han Qing agreed that they would do their best, and suddenly another guild member announced that everyone should stand in their places for the official roll call. Han Ke remarked on the tension of the moment and expressed his disbelief at working alongside members of a major guild, while Lin Yuan wondered if these were the players participating in the S-rank hunting campaign. One player chimed in with a snide comment about hoping that gear would not fail him mid-raid, and Lin Yuan thought to himself that they all seemed like newbies who had just entered the main city. Zhao Kui announced that they had a full count and needed to move out without wasting time, assuring everyone that even the Grim Reaper changed his path upon seeing the Black Tree Guild, so they would be safe. Everyone agreed, but a player looked startled when Han Qing pulled out a red flag. Han Qing told Lin Yuan to hurry and catch up because he heard there were luminous slime monsters inside the cave, which prompted a player to ask if he thought they were on a picnic. Lin Yuan walked calmly behind the group and noted that he could already smell a thrilling scent as they entered the melted Bloodscale cave. Moments later, one player asked if they had already reached a fork in the road, while another noted they had not encountered a single Iron Eater lizard yet. A third player explained that it was normal since the species was active at night and hid during the day, so they were likely gathered deep in the caves to rest. When a player asked Zhao Kui which fork they should take, he suggested that they split up. Han Qing questioned if that was not a bit dangerous, and another player agreed while asking what they would do if they encountered a level 16 elite monster. A guild member told them to be quiet and calm down because their captain had already scouted the path ahead to ensure their safety, having finished the task just before they met for the assembly. After a player confirmed if Zhao Kui had scouted the path in advance, Zhao Kui explained that the middle path contained clear pheromones of Iron Eater lizards and carried a high risk of surprise attacks, while the other two paths were very safe. He reasoned that the most dangerous places held the highest possibility of valuable discoveries. So he decided his guild would take the middle path while the others took the side paths, and he asked for their thoughts. One player praised the major guild for their careful planning, and another noted that Zhao Kui was the third team captain and the highest level among them, so his word was law. Lin Yuan stated that they would take the left path, and Zhao Kui replied that it was no problem before asking if anyone wanted to join them. A player asked if it was just those two, while another remarked that one looked eccentric and unreliable. A different player called the other one a stone-faced monster who probably hid his level and profession out of fear of embarrassment, though a female player countered that she thought he was pretty handsome and suggested the critic go with him instead. Zhao Kui observed that Lin Yuan seemed to have poor popularity, and he added that although he was the mission leader, he could not force anyone to join him. Lin Yuan told Han Qing to follow him, and Han Qing agreed without hesitation. Zhao Kui watched the two of them walk toward the left path and clicked his tongue while calling them both ignorant fools. Water dripped down the stalactites and fell to the ground as Lin Yuan and Han Qing walked together, their path illuminated by the glow of luminous slime monsters. Han Qing noted that the temperature dropped quickly and felt that something was strange, adding that he had a growing feeling of being watched. Lin Yuan asked if he finally noticed and confirmed that something was indeed there. When Han Qing questioned why Zhao Kui claimed the path was safe after scouting it, Lin Yuan asked if he really trusted the man that much. He explained that since this was an S-rank hunting campaign filled with a crowd of newbies, it was obvious the guild intended to use them as bait to scout the path. Han Qing started to ask why Lin Yuan did not expose the lie, but Lin Yuan finished the thought for him while grabbing a luminous slime from the wall, stating that he coincidentally wanted to see exactly how many interesting things could be lured out. They stood in the dark and stared ahead until multiple glaring eyes appeared, revealing a group of level 16 Iron Eater lizards. Meanwhile, the guild mage plunged a staff into the ground and used the skill Burn, sending fire swirling to scorch the lizards, while a swordsman guild member swung a blade to kill another. The swordsman called the others idiots and told them to witness his power, then contacted their captain to brag that using scapegoats to disperse the monster strength made things much easier, adding that he could not believe the group actually bought the lie about scouting the path. Zhao Kui replied that once most of the bait died, the Iron Eater lizards in the other two caves would also be on the verge of death, allowing them to step in and reap the rewards with double the results for half the effort. 3 lizards jumped at him from behind, so he mocked the ill-mannered creatures and challenged them all to come at him together. He slammed his weapon against the lizards one after the other and declared that scum should always remain at the bottom of the food chain. Han Qing watched in surprise as one lizard activated Iron Tail Strike, a vulture bandit used Scimitar Throw, and another activated Stealth and Backstab. He asked when Lin Yuan subdued all those undead monsters, noting that it was even more impressive than the battle in the mud swamp. Lin Yuan asked if he did not remember that he planned to make some preparations that day, leading Han Qing to ask in disbelief if he really subdued all those powerful monsters in less than a day. The system notified Lin Yuan that he successfully killed 55 Iron Eater lizards, and he remarked that it was already over and their efficiency was not bad. Han Qing expressed his envy and wondered aloud when he would ever reach such a level of strength. Suddenly, he felt a vibration and asked if an earthquake occurred, calling out to Lin Yuan for guidance. He then decided that Lin Yuan was busy and that he should check the situation himself to avoid being a burden, so he moved toward the source of the tremor. After he stopped walking and noted that the vibration had ceased, a massive tongue erupted from the ground and shoved him backward. Horrified, Han Qing stared at the gigantic appendage and wondered what it was. But he braced himself as it lunged again. He cried out for help, yet the tongue wrapped around his mouth and body, preventing him from screaming or moving as it dragged him toward a hole in the ground. Convinced he was finished, he felt a sudden relief when Lin Yuan swung his sword and dismissed the creature as a mere beast that hid in the earth to gnaw on dirt, questioning how it dared to show off such tricks. Blood spurted from the tongue, and Lin Yuan grabbed Han Qing by the collar to drag him to safety. A few moments later, Han Qing coughed and warned that the creature was a massive monster, urging them to flee before it emerged completely. The ground suddenly split in half as a level 20 iron-eating iguana boss roared ferociously. Han Qing realized the mission information had misidentified the threat, as the cavern was supposed to house an elite-class monster rather than a boss-class one. He apologized to Lin Yuan and insisted that he would hold the beast off so his companion could retreat, but Lin Yuan simply asked if he considered that a terrifying monster and declared it his prey. As the iguana charged, Lin Yuan ordered the vulture bandit leaders to use their scythe throw skill. They obeyed and launched their weapons, but the iguana activated its iron tail sweep and deflected the attacks. Lin Yuan noticed an opening and used his Azure Spirit Seal, causing the iguana to shriek as it took a hit from behind. Lin Yuan landed on the ground and stood confidently before the beast, though he wondered if the burns on its scales were only minor. The iguana opened its mouth to gather its breath and unleashed a toxic sand breath attack that exploded directly above Lin Yuan. Han Qing shouted for him to watch out, but Lin Yuan jumped away to dodge the highly concentrated corrosive blast. He remarked that the fight was harder than he imagined, yet the iguana swung its tail at him, which only made the situation more exciting. He called for the vulture bandit lord, which appeared instantly and drove its weapons into the iguana's tail with such force that it created a shockwave. Han Qing marveled at the majestic undead summon and asked if it was one of the new followers Lin Yuan acquired. Meanwhile, the vulture moved swiftly behind the iguana to activate its backstab skill, but the beast countered with its impenetrable fortress and swung its tail. Lin Yuan warned the vulture to watch out, yet it failed to react in time and crashed into the wall. Han Qing noted the creature's fast reaction speed and wondered if it possessed eyes on its back, a thought Lin Yuan shared as he analyzed the iguana's movements. He reasoned that while lizards relied on light changes and struggled to track stationary targets, their motion vision, hearing, and smell were incredibly sharp, and some even utilized infrared sensing to detect body heat. Since their sensitivity to enemy movement paths far exceeded that of humans, he concluded that they needed to force the beast to entrap itself. Multiple fireballs struck the iguana and caused an explosion, prompting Lin Yuan to challenge the monster to see if its scales were harder than his flames. He threw another fireball that hit the target, which enraged the beast and sent it roaring in pursuit. Lin Yuan thought this was perfect for keeping the monster's attention focused on him, but Han Qing suddenly shouted that he was in danger because the boss-class iguana's defense was too high for fireballs to inflict damage. Lin Yuan ignored the warning and ran toward the pile of undead, which made Han Qing realize his plan. As he neared the undead lizards, he stopped and changed direction, leaving the puzzled iguana unable to halt its momentum as it crashed into the undead. Lin Yuan mocked the big dummy for not knowing how to stop and triggered his corpse explosion art, which caused the iguana's body to crackle under the direct hit. He declared that the armor was breached, and when the beast lunged at him, he jumped to dodge the attack. He ordered the vulture bandit lord to move to the left, and as they both dug their feet into the ground for force, he realized the lizard could not focus on enemies from both sides simultaneously. The vulture prepared its crossbow while the iguana gathered its breath, so Lin Yuan jumped above the beast to catch his reflection in its eyes. He promised that the strike would send it to hell, and the system confirmed a weak point hit before congratulating him on reaching level 14. 5 minutes later, the Undead Legion's health was restored by 85%. Lin Yuan activated his Dark Curse skill and noted that using the skill scroll again would directly raise the ability to level 4. Although the corpse explosion art consumed a significant amount of undead, the acquisition of the level 20 Undead Iron-Eating Iguana Master made the entire effort worthwhile, and he decided that the creature would serve as his shield from that point onward. Han Qing suddenly called out to him and remarked that it was the first time he had seen such a massive amount of loot. So he asked if they should start counting it immediately. Lin Yuan questioned the hurry since there were still some rats left to kill, while nearby, the corpses of burnt iron-eating lizards lay scattered across the ground. Zhao Qi scoffed at the sight and claimed that those fools were not even worth looking at. One of the guild members attributed their success to their leader's wise commands, and boasted that even a lord-class monster would have to kneel and take a beating in his presence, while another suggested that the fight on both sides must be almost over, meaning they could soon reap the fruits of their labor. Zhao Qi kicked one of the lizard corpses and ordered his group to move out to collect the bodies, but suddenly, the walls shattered and huge rocks nearly crushed them. Zhao Qi demanded to know who was there and questioned their audacity for daring to ambush the Black Tree Guild. As the dust settled, he saw Lin Yuan and Han Qing standing before him. Lin Yuan asked if he was not going to collect the bodies and offered to do it himself, but the mage denied the possibility and insisted that the two of them should have been eaten by the iron iguana. Han Qing expressed his disbelief at the man's nerve and remarked that he had expected the Black Tree Guild to be a big and upright organization rather than one that used players as bait to enter the dungeon. A guild member dismissed the complaint and claimed it was an honor for such scumbags to serve as a stepping stone for their guild. Meanwhile, Zhao Qi cursed internally as he wondered how the two men survived and speculated that perhaps the cave contained fewer iron-eating iguanas than expected, causing the monsters to gather elsewhere. Han Qing called them shameless, which only made Zhao Kui more annoyed and determined to get rid of him. Zhao Kui told them that he did not know how they managed to escape alive, but he warned that their luck had already run out. Lin Yuan told Han Qing to stand back and asked Zhao Kui if he was alone. Zhao Kui swung his weapon to block Lin Yuan's attack, and the resulting clash of weapons was so powerful that rocks flew everywhere. Lin Yuan skidded on the ground as he took a step back in surprise, while Zhao Kui mocked him by asking if the attack was just a toy for a little brat still in the bottle. Lin Yuan then activated his Azure Spirit Seal skill. Zhao Kui frantically changed direction to dodge the explosions caused by the skulls hitting the ground, and he managed to evade every single one until the very last. He grew alarmed when the thick smoke from the blasts hindered his visibility and realized Lin Yuan had vanished, so he cursed and demanded to know where his opponent hid. He then mocked Lin Yuan for thinking he was defenseless and called him an idiot, noting that those who survived by luck should really sleep with one eye open. Lin Yuan felt a surge of alarm when he swung his sword only to find Zhao Kui had disappeared, and as the dust settled, he realized the man was nowhere to be seen. A sense of horror washed over Lin Yuan when he felt Zhao Kui's presence directly behind him, and the man taunted that a waste like him could have his life ended at any moment. Lin Yuan failed to dodge and took a direct hit from the weapon, which released a powerful wave of aura that sent him flying across the cave. Han Qing called out in worry and addressed him as an abyssal god, while the warrior suggested they leave the rookie to him, but the mage asked if his warm-up was not enough and insisted it was his turn. Meanwhile, Zhao Kui claimed he did not have time to play games and told Lin Yuan to just lie down and die. But to his shock, Lin Yuan caught his fist without any effort. Lin Yuan asked if he was the captain of the Black Tree Guild's third team, leaving Zhao Kui to wonder how that guy managed such a feat. A sinister smile spread across Lin Yuan's face as a dark aura emerged from his body and terrifying glowing eyes appeared behind him, and he remarked that he finally had a rough idea of the level of the 10th-ranked guild in the main city. Zhao Kui exerted so much force that his arm trembled, but Lin Yuan held his fist effortlessly and groaned in pain when Lin Yuan twisted his limb. Lin Yuan glared with menacing eyes before throwing him onto the ground, where he crashed in front of his team members who looked on in shock. Zhao Kui admitted he truly underestimated the bastard and ordered his team to stop standing around and join the attack. The warrior yelled as he charged forward, and the mage agreed that it was good, while Zhao Kui shouted for Lin Yuan to go to hell. Lin Yuan dismissed them as mere mobs that required no real action, and as Zhao Kui swung his weapon into the ground, the other two guild members prepared their own strikes. Two vulture bandits suddenly flew into the air, and because Zhao Kui and his team were unaware of their position above, they were caught by surprise when the vultures tackled them to the ground. Zhao Kui felt terror as the flames of the Azure Spirit Seal reflected in his eyes, and he stood so stunned by the charging skulls that he could not react. He took a direct hit that blew him into the air, and he crashed face first into the ground as Lin Yuan stood before him. Zhao Kui begged for a moment, cursing and warning that killing him would bring the wrath of the Black Tree Guild, so he urged his opponent to think carefully about the consequences. Lin Yuan simply looked down on him with cold disdain, though he felt a flicker of surprise when Han Qing grabbed his leg. Han Qing called him the Abyss God, and admitted to being worried because he never backed down from a fight. Lin Yuan told him to move aside, then pointed out how the Black Tree Guild was known for being cruel to its own members as much as outsiders, asking if Zhao Kui had considered how he would explain the loss of his guild equipment and level to his superiors. Realizing he was in deep trouble, Zhao Kui asked what he needed to do to be spared. Lin Yuan demanded a list of the high-level management players in the guild, including their professional levels and unique characteristics. He thought back to the first disciple, remembering how the skills used by that player in his previous life were completely unheard of and impossible to counter, suggesting the existence of an extremely rare hidden profession that remained a total mystery to everyone. When Zhao Kui asked why he needed that list, Lin Yuan stabbed his hand instead of answering, forcing a quick promise to write it down immediately. After reviewing the information, Lin Yuan noted that while the guildmasters were present, none of them matched the profile of the first disciple. Zhao Kui suddenly called him boss and pleaded for their lives, and although Lin Yuan agreed to let them go, he immediately struck them down with a surprise attack. He declared that they owed an explanation for harming so many innocent players, and as they vanished, they dropped a silver-type moon-covering hammer, a bronze-type dancing sword, and a bronze-type Lingguang robe. Han Qing pointed out a treasure chest they had yet to count, but when Lin Yuan offered to let him take the first pick, Han Qing refused to take advantage of him and insisted on buying the loot. Lin Yuan agreed, and since nothing suited his needs, he handed everything over, receiving 54 gold coins through the system. As they exited the Bloodscale Cave, Lin Yuan mused that silver equipment was still the standard, as gold gear remained incredibly difficult to obtain in the current version. Han Qing then hesitated before mentioning that the Black Tree Guild was notoriously vindictive and often resorted to offline retaliation when defeated in the game. So he suggested that Lin Yuan keep a bodyguard nearby for protection. Lin Yuan expressed his gratitude for the reminder, but dismissed the bugs as nothing he could not handle. Back in the real world, his mother called out for him to come prepare for dinner, so he headed toward the door and turned the knob. The door swung open to reveal his father standing there with a gaming helmet on his head, which left Lin Yuan feeling alarmed and apprehensive. His father removed the helmet and asked him to check if it was broken or if it was the right model for playing, and while Lin Yuan confirmed it worked fine, he questioned why his father suddenly bought such a device. His father denied buying it and explained that his mother found it while cleaning Lin Tan's room, which triggered a memory for Lin Yuan of his sister awakening her hidden class around that time in his past life. As he pondered this, his mother urged them to stop standing around and come eat, and as the sun set over the orange-hued city, she remarked that his father always tried to find common ground with them despite not understanding new technology. She claimed he spent the whole afternoon failing to turn it on, but his father insisted he was just checking the device to ensure she did not damage anything while cleaning. Lin Yuan realized that getting his parents into the world of eternity would allow him to use his in-game resources to protect them when the cataclysmic change arrived, so he promised to buy 2 more helmets the next day for his mother to try. She told him not to waste money, but he insisted it was fine and asked if Lin Tan had returned yet. Since it was Friday, his mother assumed she was out with friends and suggested they eat while she called her later, but Lin Yuan decided to try calling himself. His phone indicated the user was temporarily unavailable, and he wondered why she would ignore him completely instead of sending a polite message. His mother insisted they start eating without her, but Lin Yuan decided to head out to buy some things before the stores closed. As his mother worried about the food getting cold, his father encouraged her to let him go, noting how distant the siblings had become despite being inseparable in the past and suggesting they needed more room to communicate. She agreed and acknowledged that while Lin Yuan struggled to express himself, he was still a big brother at heart. The hallway light flickered on as he stepped out and began walking down the stairs, haunted by the memory of his sister returning home in his past life with painful injuries. Lin Yuan felt a jolt of surprise upon seeing her, and as he prepared to ask what happened, she simply brushed past him. She warned him to stay out of her business, specifically forbidding him from calling the police or telling their parents, and demanded to know if he understood before slamming her bedroom door shut. Left staring helplessly at the wood, he recalled how in his past life, Lin Tan awakened a hidden class after starting the game Eternity, only to endure immense suffering. Everything traced back to the mysterious System Organization, a group founded by 9 Heavenly Chosen who held the exclusive right to join the system. One member, known as the Prophet, possessed the ability to sense other Heavenly Chosen in reality and dispatched recruiters to bring them into the fold. The organization grew invincible in the game at a terrifying speed, and while their influence over the real world expanded, their unpredictable actions remained a source of confusion despite their occasional contributions to social stability. Since Lin Tan never spoke of her dangerous missions at home, he desperately hoped this group was not involved. But he resolved that if they were, he would never let her remain ignorant of the danger again. With a dark look on his face, he stepped out of the apartment building to track her down. While walking the streets, he suddenly spotted her inside a cafe with others and quickly ducked behind a wall to spy. He realized she had already made contact, but the distance made their conversation impossible to hear, and he dared not risk alerting them. Feeling rusty after a long break, he refocused and activated his level 3 invisibility skill, which granted him 5 minutes of stealth. He slipped into the cafe and felt confident in his position. Lin Tan sat across from Xiao Pan and Hao Chen, who addressed her as little sister and claimed he had shared everything necessary for her to judge the truth for herself. He insisted that joining them served a greater purpose, as she would eventually need to stand up for the world when disaster struck 3 years later. A heavy silence hung between them while Lin Yuan listened without intervening. Xiaopan urged Hao Chen to check himself for scaring the girl and demanded he calm his terrifying aura. But Hao Chen countered that he spoke of serious matters for her own good given the current circumstances. Just as he prepared to explain the details, he stopped abruptly. Lin Yuan felt a surge of surprise when Hao Chen glanced directly in his direction with a skeptical expression. Taken aback, he watched as Hao Chen activated a dispel skill that rippled through the entire cafe. The system notified him that his invisibility was broken and began a 3-second countdown. Hao Chen kept his eyes locked on the empty space where Lin Yuan stood, staring in silence despite seeing nothing. He then asked the barista why the shop lacked herbal tea and requested a cup for takeaway, so the worker agreed and told him to wait a moment while the drink was prepared. Meanwhile, Lin Yuan wondered if Hao Chen used the dispel skill from a ring, feeling relieved that the invisibility effect had a 3-second delay even as the system confirmed his stealth was broken. Hao Chen sipped his tea and told Lin Tan to consider joining their group of justice seekers who refused to stand by during disasters, instructing her to call the number on his business card once she reached a decision. She agreed, and Xiaopan chimed in to say he would be waiting for his little beauty, so she better show up. Lin Yuan quickly reactivated his invisibility skill and slipped past the barista to exit the cafe, but once outside, he questioned if he had been spotted. As he walked around, a cup of tea splashed onto his feet, leaving him surprised, because the liquid spilled on the ground while the spot where he stood remained dry. Hao Chen remarked that something was definitely wrong, and as the system warned Lin Yuan that his invisibility would end in 3 seconds, both men glared directly at his position. By the time the effect faded, Lin Yuan was already gone, leaving the two men standing in silence. Hao Chen suggested he might have been too sensitive lately, so Xiaopan told him to relax and asked if he thought the girl would join them. Hao Chen replied that the prophet predicted she would come eventually, and while Xiaopan agreed that those predictions never failed. He expressed more curiosity about which girl would eventually fly wing to wing with his companion. Hao Chen hoped he could survive the coming catastrophe first, but Xiaopan insisted there was still plenty of time. High up on a tree branch, Lin Yuan watched them walk away and worried that this group was more difficult than he anticipated, wondering what might happen if he interacted with them too much and exposed his taboo class. He realized he had no place in the immortal world anymore, so he needed to be more cautious and decided it was time to move out. Lin Tan held the business card and looked at it intently until she suddenly asked Lin Yuan why he was there. He claimed he just came down to buy something and asked if she had eaten yet, but she said no while insisting she was fine. He told her not to work so late and mentioned he bought food, suggesting she check if anything looked good for when they got home. She wondered why he was acting this way when he could barely take care of himself, but he simply told her they should go home, leaving her in a daze. A few moments later, they arrived back at their apartment, where their mother asked if Lin Tan had eaten after playing and offered to heat up some food. Lin Tan declined and headed off to rest. So their mother decided to prepare a meal for Lin Yuan instead, since he had not eaten much. Lin Tan closed her bedroom door and let out a deep sigh while pondering the strange events occurring ever since she started playing that game. She recalled a battle against level 5 longsword mantises where her friend urged her to run because she moved faster, promising to hold the monsters back. When her friend tripped and a mantis prepared to attack from behind, Lin Tan insisted on staying to stop them because a front-row fighter could never abandon the back row. She charged the creatures while her friend escaped, but after blocking one mantis with her sword, another moved behind her and struck her back, as she screamed in pain and groaned under the assault. The system congratulated her for triggering a hidden class and announced its awakening. She yelled while swinging her sword with all her might, moving swiftly to defeat one mantis after another until she finally stabbed her blade into the ground for support. Out of breath and surrounded by lifeless monsters, she received a notification that she earned the Sword of Dawn class. Back in her room, she felt the changes in her body and wondered if she could actually protect everyone if a disaster struck. She questioned whether she possessed enough power to resist such a catastrophe and pondered if she should join those justice seekers. Determined to become strong enough to keep her family safe, she contemplated her next move. Meanwhile, Lin Yuan looked at the same family picture and decided he could no longer delay moving because his energy belonged in the game, and he needed to provide a better life for his family. The next day, an agent greeted him and asked if he came to view the house. He requested a fully furnished villa with high security. So the agent wondered if such a young man could afford the property and asked if he understood the price. He simply replied that he had enough, and after she inspected his limited edition VIP card with its massive deposit, she treated him like a god of wealth and dedicated herself to his service. Sometime later, his mother asked if he really bought them a new home, and she marveled at the private pool, comparing it to the impressive ones she saw on television. Lin Yuan's father wondered if the bed was too big, as the two parents toured the house in complete awe. His mother asked how many years it would take to pay off the mortgage or if they should move back, but his father agreed with her concerns and expressed a desire to avoid putting too much pressure on their son. Lin Yuan explained there was no mortgage because he bought the place in full with his competition winnings and gaming income, so they could live there without worry while he stayed next door to focus on his games. His father marveled at the prospect of living in a villa and felt truly blessed by his son, while his mother observed how quickly he had grown into a man capable of standing on his own. Lin Yuan smiled at their joy and later walked the street alone, thinking about the need to guide his parents into gaming while remaining vigilant about the presence of order organizations. Suddenly, Zhao Kui appeared and shouted about finally finding his target after a long search, his face turning red with rage as a vein popped out of his bald head. Lin Yuan wondered if this man was the captain of the Black Tree Guild he previously defeated, but Zhao Kui charged forward without warning and mocked his fighting skills, suggesting he should stick to pretending offline. A guild member chimed in with a plan to smash his head, while another claimed he looked completely frightened, and a third warned that anyone disrespecting Mr. Kratos was seeking death. Lin Yuan activated his invisibility skill and remarked on their sluggish pace, leaving the members stunned by his sudden disappearance. He then charged directly at Zhao Qi and delivered a strike to the stomach so powerful it forced the man to cough up blood, while simultaneously eliminating the other members blocking his path. Zhao Qi panicked and wondered if he was facing a human or a ghost, especially when Lin Yuan stabbed a pipe into the ground right beside his head. Lin Yuan noted that his opponent clearly did not value his life and lamented the endless nature of such bothersome nuisances. Zhao Kui begged for mercy and admitted his mistake, pleading for his life because he possessed valuable information about a hidden mission. Lin Yuan told him to keep talking, so Zhao Qi explained that a blacksmith named Tongs in the main city of the West Desert offered a piece of gold equipment if a player delivered enough ore to raise his favorability. Lin Yuan recalled rumors from his previous life about someone obtaining gold equipment through an inconspicuous NPC, so he suspected the man might be telling the truth, but still demanded confirmation. He crumpled the metal pipe in his bare hands to emphasize his point and warned Zhao Kui against doing anything stupid, promising to deal with him both online and offline if he dared to touch his family. Zhao Kui agreed to the terms, and when evening arrived, Lin Yuan headed to the Moonlight Night Tavern in the West Desert to find Tongs among the patrons enjoying their drinks and warm meals. Tongs questioned whether 100 pieces of ore were truly possible and told Lin Yuan to stop kidding around since his clean skin suggested he was not cut out for mining, though he promised to craft a weapon for free if the task was actually completed. Lin Yuan realized Zhao Qi had been honest about the mission and decided his next step involved heading to the mines. A man suddenly approached a woman and demanded to know why she was running, insisting she join him for a drink, but she told him to go away because they were strangers. When the man refused to leave her alone and offered to stop touching her if she just accompanied him, Lin Yuan stood by in silence. The man turned his aggression toward Lin Yuan and threatened to poke his eyes out. But Lin Yuan simply remarked on the man's lack of self-preservation. The woman thanked Lin Yuan for his intervention and offered to buy him a drink. Yet he declined and continued on his way. As she followed and tripped on her heels, he caught her before she hit the ground, though he brushed off her suggestion to dance by calling her troublesome. After renting a room for her to rest, he departed for the Viper Mine and deployed his 12 kobold summons from the Netherworld Gate to begin the extraction process. He expected to gather a significant amount of ore quickly, but a sudden explosion behind him revealed a group of level 10 violent moles on the attack. He ordered his scorpion to eliminate the pests before they could escape. And once the creatures lay lifeless on the ground, he noted how collecting diverse monsters would improve his tactical versatility. The moles then rose as undead summons, but a much larger explosion rocked the area as a level 16 violent mole lord chased a player named Old Sun toward him. Lin Yuan suspected someone was maliciously luring monsters to his location, and as Old Sun arrived, the player cast a priest buff, called Holy Armor, directly onto him. Lin Yuan quickly dodged the incoming skill, wondering if it was a locked target ability, while nearby players gossiped about the missing iron ore and wondered if the priest from the super god Iron Triangle had gone solo. Old Sun insisted he never intended to lure the monsters and told everyone to run because he was responsible for his own actions. Meanwhile, online users debated whether the priests in the Mirror Flower Water Moon Guild were always this outrageous, with some marveling at the priest's assassin-like agility and others declaring the arrival of a battle priest. Lin Yuan remained loyal to his principles despite the circumstances, and since he recently spent a fortune on a new villa, he welcomed the boss monster that arrived at his doorstep with open arms. Back at the stream, the viewer count climbed to 130 as people recognized the master who previously soloed a world boss, so they urged everyone to hold on tight for the exciting show ahead while questioning why the master delayed his attack. Meanwhile, the mole prepared to sink its claws into Old Sun, but Lin Yuan intercepted the strike with his sword. Old Sun asked for his savior's identity while Zhao Qi watched the broadcast from afar, cursing his own lack of shame for losing to such a monster. Nguyen complained about the internet being flooded with annoying praise for the great god, but a companion countered that no one could compare to their president in terms of pure skill. Zhao Kui identified the speaker as Nguyen from the Fury Guild and noted that the mad god simply relied on guild advantages and class perks, so he insisted that no one matched the great god in raw operation. Nguyen demanded a repeat of that claim, so Zhao Kui asked if he was truly Nguyen from the Fury Guild and pointed out that the entire comment section agreed the leader of the top guild should have stepped down long ago. Nguyen reacted by pointing a blade at Zhao Kui's throat and demanded to know who he thought he was, prompting Zhao Kui to ask why he took his anger out on him when the public consensus remained clear about the mad god being too low-key. He added that heroes often emerged when none existed before, so Nguyen asked if the guy was still streaming in the mine and ordered the guild to notify everyone to follow the broadcast. Lin Yuan dealt multiple slashes to the mole and told Old Sun to retreat since the beast focused its hatred entirely on him. The mole lunged with enough power to bury its claws deep into the ground, but Lin Yuan dodged the attack to create distance and unleashed a barrage of fireballs that made the creature scream in pain. The broadcast numbers surged to 1,297 as viewers marveled at the master's frame-by-frame precision, stable aggro management, and creative tactics. The mole pulled its claws from the earth and charged again. So Lin Yuan commanded his wolves to bite and pin the beast to the ground. He remarked that the creature suffered a great loss by ignoring the threats behind it, and without waiting for the monster to understand its mistake, he plunged his sword directly into its eyeball.